Welcome to Master the Game. I am Juice, and today I am talking to Brogan Kelley of NoNat1s, a really cool YouTube channel. Before I get into that, I just want to quickly thank my patrons for making stuff like this possible. Without you guys, we would not be able to do this as frequently as we do, so thank you for that. Also, we've got tomorrow, the very first time ever, I am playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Nice. Really excited about it. So if you guys want, come back tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. That'll be Saturday, July 11th. Come watch that, and it'll be awesome. I'm looking forward to it, playing with some great players. And I get to be a player. I don't always get to be a player, so that'll be really cool. So with that, we do these kinds of interviews every Tuesdays and Thursdays, occasionally on Fridays. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 p.m. Eastern. You can catch them live, get your questions into the chat. But yeah, with that, let's throw it over to Brogan Kelley. Introduce yourself, your channel, maybe your past with, your with YouTube.
Howdy. My name is NoNat. I felt like I needed to do that just for fun. And I am a Pathfinder 2nd Edition currently sort of guide creator here on YouTube. Right now, my main focus, I release one class guide a week going alphabetically through the classes of Pathfinder. I release sort of a basic rules guide each week covering some rule in the system to clarify things a little bit more, and then one Pathfinder spell book where I go through all of the spells in the game, give my thoughts, give my opinions on them, rank them 1 out of 5, and then the people in the comments tell me how wrong I am. It's a lot of fun. And those are the 3 main videos I do each week. Sometimes I'll pump out a bonus video. I do a video on Thursday for my patrons, and yeah, that's where I'm at. I love tabletop RPGs. I've been playing them since college, so going on 6 years now of RPGs in my past, and it's just been a ton of fun. I've wanted to do something with the internet and RPGs for years. I've done content creation on the internet for years in the past. It was primarily video game based, classic Let's Playing. I'd play while commentating, and I did that for roughly, I guess, about 8 or 9 years. I don't really count 5 of those years, 6 of those years, because I was in high school and college and young and stupid. But for the last 2 years before this, I was doing it as my full-time job. And I've just now switched over to YouTube and tabletop RPG content creation. And that's about where I'm at right now.
Yeah, your Instagram, it looks like it has a lot of Nintendo references even.
Yeah, I was very much a Nintendo streamer. Your Mario, your Zelda. I kicked ass at Mario Kart.
See, so when you talk about Mario Kart, you're talking about new ones. Like when I think of Mario Kart, I'm thinking like Super Nintendo.
I've played that one. I'm still not too shabby. You'd be surprised how much skill carries over to each installment.
Right. Oh man. I used to be heavily into all that stuff as a kid. But there's a big age gap too. Games now are way more complex than they used to. I still try to play games. I just don't have time. That's what it comes down to. I'm an Xbox gamer too.
Fair enough. I've been Nintendo my entire life, though in the last 10 years, I've definitely started playing more PC. Yeah. And sort of each year I play a little more PC than I do Nintendo. Though the Switch brought me back hard. The Switch has had an excellent lifespan so far as a console.
Nice. So what we came to talk about today was obviously Pathfinder. I do think that stuff's very fascinating, though. We'll definitely have to talk about that someday. Yeah. Or if people in chat just feel like asking about that, that's, I guess, what we'll talk about.
I'm here to answer any questions.
So one of the things that's kind of interesting when you're talking about like guides and spells and things like that, and that I've experienced, when you make videos, people in the chat can be very critical. And one of the things that always happens, I make mistakes. I don't know
same.
If you have.
Oh my God. So when I released my most recent spell book, this was this past Tuesday, so only 3 days ago.
Perfect.
I talked about specifically the command spell and how really strong it is, how your DM's going to hate you, because if cast in the right circumstances, it takes actions away from an enemy and they have to use it as you command. So not only are you removing actions from the enemy's side, but you're doing them beneficially for you. So you're effectively injecting them into your side. And I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. And not 2 hours later, when I was listening, shout out to the Min-Max podcast, their Pathfinder 2e game is amazing. One of them, one of them casts the command spell. And I'm like, oh, cool, I just covered that. And they're like, what does that do? And they're like, okay, so it does take actions, but they can only be specific actions and they can't be told to harm their allies. And I'm like,
oh, you overlooked that part.
Not only that, but I didn't know about the incapacitation trait, which means if the enemy is higher level than the spell, then their success or fail is treated as one level higher. So if they're a higher level than the level 1 command spell, so even if they're only a level 2 enemy and they fail their save, it still counts as a success. So it's almost never going to work.
Yeah, that makes sense. I actually think that's one of the few things I do remember reading. So I've spent probably 15 hours in the core rulebook, and I still don't feel like I got it down because I got to play it before I really know.
It's a gameplay thing. Yeah. Also, high experiment. Sorry.
No, you're good. I was going to say, I noticed some people are flowing in here that I'm not familiar with.
Anybody who says Boyer is referring to my old moniker, which was Game Boyer. Was my name.
That makes sense. The whole Nintendo reference.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've spent like maybe 15 hours in the core rulebook. I've talked about it on streams when my wife's mini painting, because my wife does mini painting because I suck at mini painting, and so then I just talk to the chat and we just have a good time hanging out.
Yeah, sounds like fun.
Yeah, we do that like Wednesdays and Thursdays for like 2 hours a night. But
solid.
I spent a lot of those just reading the core rulebook, not like just straight through cover to cover, and not word for word.
Right, skimming.
Yeah, I'd be like, she's interested in playing a druid like for our game tomorrow. So I will say, the druid stuff.
The weakest point of Pathfinder 2nd edition is the rulebook. That core rulebook, as big as it is not laid out the best. Like the system itself, very beginner friendly, easy to teach orally, but good Lord, when you open that rulebook, it's rough. And the poor people who are working, because I'm working for my videos from a first edition of the core rulebook, and there has since been an errata in the past few months, which has fixed some things. Yeah.
I just got my book, by the way, and it's still not up to date on the errata.
Really?
Like the hero points thing where you can come back with 1 hit point. I was like, oh, this is great. I was raving about how excited about it I was, and then I heard they got rid of that in the errata. Because I saw that there's a difference when you look at the hero points and then when you hear about the recovery.
The big one that got me is I'm working on a monk video, which I'm going to plug. That'll be coming out this coming Monday. But I was looking at monks, and they get key spells, and these spells, it says enemies get a fortitude saving throw against your spell save DC. I'm like, well, the monk's not a spellcaster. I can assume it's wisdom, but I should find it to be sure. And I skimmed it top to bottom. I Googled it. I could not find anywhere it says the monk's spellcasting modifier is wisdom. And so I looked at the errata, and they forgot to add that line in the core rulebook. In an interview from last year's Gen Con, Jason Bullman,
Yeah, Bullman, I think.
Bullman. He said, it was an oversight, and it was always meant to be there, but we forgot to put it in the book.
Right. Like, well, and think about it, too. They're the ones designing it, so it's easy from their perspective.
Right.
Because they know these things.
Right,
so,
and
like,
even if you look at old systems,
things.
like an old Pathfinder that they're working off, it was already a thing. It's so ingrained. And so it's easy to assume it's wisdom, but you just like to know, especially with the new key ability system of 2nd edition, which for monks is strength and dexterity. Usually the key ability score for a spellcaster is their spellcasting mod.
Right. So Chance's Guide to Pathfinder 2e, another YouTuber, he has asked a question. His question is, do you feel like Pathfinder 2e will surpass 5e in terms of popularity?
No.
I agree. I don't think it's going to come
There's
close.
no way anybody is ever taking Wizards down. Even with all the drama and crap going on with them regarding, the employees who got laid off or stolen from and all that jazz, it's Wizards of the freaking coast. Yeah. If I'm talking to my non-role player friends, even if I have my Pathfinder campaign that night, I'll say, I got to go at 6 o'clock. I got to go play D&D with my friends. Because they know what D&D is.
I say I'm playing Pathfinder when people are like, what? I say, it's basically D&D. Like,
exactly.
I always have to say that part, though.
Everyone knows Dungeons and Dragons, but people don't always know the Pathfinder, the Call of Cthulhu, the Shadowrun,
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's because it's not only, it's a moniker for role-playing.
It's wrestling and Hulk Hogan.
Exactly.
And Hulk Hogan hasn't wrestled in 20 years, and everyone still knows what I'm talking about.
Exactly. Yeah, no, nothing will ever take Wizards down. Not in the foreseeable future, at least, unless something catastrophic.
I wouldn't say ever. There's at some, like, Pathfinder 1e was more popular than D&D 4e. as a game
A
system.
a lot of things were more popular than D&D
but
4th
they were
edition.
head-to-head, right? Because fourth edition books were coming out, but Pathfinder.
That's true. So Wizards can slip. It's been proven they can slip with 4th edition.
It's going to take a lot though before a system is referred to as the RPG.
Especially with the last decade being the climb of tabletop RPGs into the modern common eye, with stuff like Critical Role and everything like that, with 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons being the paving force, it's going to be hard to ever top that now. Because, I mean, people who don't like Dungeons and Dragons still listen to Critical Role, Right.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of people who don't even play RPGs who listen to Critical Role.
I agree, Roll Stats. Anyone who doesn't know Call of Cthulhu is missing out. Also, am I allowed to rant for quick seconds here?
Oh, for sure.
Did you hear have you ever heard of Fate Core, the system Fate Core?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Did you see the Call of Cthulhu game that they're working on that got blasted?
No.
Everyone hates it.
No.
It is.
Is it the Fate Pulp or whatever, that one? Or
I can't remember the name of it, but it's like they were driving it as no longer do you have to play as a helpless, defenseless investigator. Now you can take the fight to the eldritch monsters, play as a decked out sci-fi soldier. And I'm like, you don't play Call of Cthulhu to kill Cthulhu. You play it to figure out the mystery and die in horrible, gruesome ways.
Right.
And like everyone hates the system touting like you get to be this soldier with futuristic weapons. Right.
If anything, they should just license out Cthulhu to games like Pathfinder and stuff like that to that place where you can fight it.
Oh, that would be so cool. Yeah, honestly, I think I would love to see what Paizo would do with other. So I mean, they've already proven
before.
Cthulhu?
I think in first edition they had something like that. It was Fate of Cthulhu, according to SR2 Joker.
Fate of Cthulhu. That's the one. Yes, thank you, SR2. But yeah, no, I mean, Paizo's already proven they can do things in other genres. Starfinder is amazing. I haven't looked. I've
never played it.
I haven't either, but I've seen such awesome stuff like they've perfectly translated, because I'm pretty sure it's like 75% the same as first edition Pathfinder.
Yes,
just in space, and the other 25% changed is just because it's in space.
Right. Yeah, I heard they did a lot of cool stuff. I remember, so Gen Con 50, I went with Cody from Taken 20. We stayed in the same hotel room.
Oh, really? Yo,
yeah,
nice.
He had just finished his Starfinder video. Starfinder came out that year.
Okay.
And he got early access to the PDFs and stuff. So when we were there, he was talking all about it, just raving about Starfinder. And obviously he did the videos and stuff for it. But I remember, because I was like, man, I have no interest in going back to a crunchier system. I was really happy with D&D 5e at the time. Wasn't burnt out on it yet.
Right.
And because that's how I felt the last year. I've started
5e, I feel is easy to burn out just because of the lack of depth and character creation.
That's what it is for me. I feel like I've seen every combination of characters pretty much.
Right. 3.5 Pathfinder, you can mix and match. And even without even leaving your core class in both Pathfinders, you can still diversify so well.
Yes. And I played first edition Pathfinder before 5e. So I played a little bit of D&D Next playtest at the same time as playing first edition Pathfinder. Okay. And, and then when 5e came out, I was like, oh, this is refreshing because I don't have to look up a bunch of rules. Like I could just play a game.
Right.
And we from 2014 through 2017, I feel like I played at least 300 different groups, not campaigns, one-shots mostly, with of D&D. And I'm probably exaggerating it by quite a bit, but it feels like a bunch. And then obviously I played it for 5 years as my go-to system. So the last month and a half, I've really started. My wife and kids got me the core rulebook for an early Father's Day gift because I was expressing interest. And
I've been functioning on a PDF for months.
Oh, it's great. But again, it's the pre-errata like we had discussed earlier. So there are some issues with it, but. And I know people are like, oh, it's 600 pages. Yeah, but you don't need 600 pages.
Exactly. 150 of it is for game masters,
Yeah.
And then another 50 of it is in the world. It's part of it is just the world of Galarian. And comparing that to 5th edition, I mean, even 5th edition, I want to say is probably 350 plus, right?
Yeah. But again, as you don't need to know all of it. Especially okay, you make a character, you need 5 pages most of the time, unless you have spells. And then and then beyond that, okay, you might a lot of players don't read the rules. They'll just sit there and figure out what they can do at the table most of the time. So
there is a lot to that, there's a lot of stuff where DMs believe. I've talked to multiple different types of DMs, and some believe, their players should know the rule book cover to cover, and I'm definitely not like that. Right. Even I don't know it cover to cover.
I just want them to know their character, like
right. Know what you can do. That's all I care about. Yeah.
Yeah. Know how your abilities work. If you have to look up a rule based on that, look up that rule. That's it. That's all I expect. Know how to do your spells.
Especially even if it's a new player, like
yes.
If the monk forgets how Flurry of Blows work, that's forgivable,
Yeah.
Like if they're still doing that the 7th or 8th session, maybe something's wrong there. Right. But yeah.
Yeah, like I'm playing a fighter tomorrow, and I have the reaction for the shield, so I don't have to put my shield up necessarily. Like,
right, yeah.
So that's kind of nice. Now, I'll put it up if I think I might use my attack of opportunity. You know what I mean?
Right. I love the reactions in 2nd edition. They're so diverse.
Yeah.
Rogues get a really cool one, which is effectively an attack of opportunity, but they can only use it when they're next to an ally who hits an enemy. So if your ally hits an enemy, you can follow that up with a free strike.
Oh, cool.
It's so cool.
I haven't even read Rogues yet. Like, I've skimmed them, but I haven't read them.
Dude, Rogues are... They've taken the... Like, how especially in D&D, bards were always the, I'm good at every skill.
Yes.
They took that away from bards completely. Bards are much more spellcasters now.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people mad about bards when 2E first came out.
I can definitely see that. Mm-hmm. But they gave it to rogues. Every other class in the game gets a skill feat every even level. So, a skill feat that either buffs a skill or makes it better. Rogues get one every level.
Nice.
Rogues get twice as many skill feats, literally, as every other class.
But
and
that's
skill
what they're supposed
increases.
To be able to do.
Right?
For decades now, in every game, that's pretty much been the Rogues thing. They've always been skills.
Yeah. Goblins have a cool reaction too. The Goblin Scuttle, which allows them, if an ally lands next to you, you can just take a free 5-foot step.
Goblins are so cool in this.
I love it. Oh, I love the Unbreakable where they just get even more hit points.
Yes, the first character I made was a barbarian that was the Unbreakable Goblin.
Yeah,
I haven't played him yet.
My first test character, I never played him, but just and I want to play it. There's so many characters I want to play in this system, and I'm gonna dungeon master, so I'm never gonna play them.
You just have to make them and then use them as
exactly.
NPCs.
Yeah. I want a throwing weapon barbarian so bad. There's the feat that lets you add your rage damage to thrown weapons.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool.
So the one thing I wasn't a fan of so far of the barbarians was the animal ones where they don't use weapons. Yeah, it's they bite or they scratch. Like I was like, I
don't know. I kind of did because I don't know if you read that they polymorph.
Yes.
Their body.
That's what I didn't like. I feel like
really.
It just doesn't appeal to me. It's not like that. It's bad. It's good. Right. It's just not for me.
And I feel like that's why that's why there's other instincts, Not everybody's gonna like every single
I like the dragon and the giant ones.
Yeah.
Those are cool.
One of my favorite combos. It's unfortunately not as easy to do as I would like. But I think starting at 4th level, if you take the druid archetype as an animal instinct barbarian, you can take the 1st level spell Magic Fang, which I believe for the next minute adds an extra damage die on all natural attacks. So if you have the D10 Jaws attack of a wolf, and you cast that on yourself, it only affects natural weapons, but Jaws are a natural weapon. So you'll start hitting for 2D10 every single attack. Awesome.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I like it. So someone asked, what is your favorite ancestry and heritage?
I saw that, and I've been trying to think this entire time.
It's so hard.
It's so hard. I could definitely tell you the most powerful one that I honestly might not let players use in campaigns. That? I don't like to limit, but in the Lost Omens World Guide, they added some extra ancestries and stuff, and I'm not familiar with all of them. I am familiar with one because I use it in my character concept videos, and it is the Ancient Elf. And by picking Ancient Elf, you can take a level 1 dedication for free.
Oh.
And you're not supposed to be able to take a multi-class dedication to level 2.
Right.
But you could just take it at level 1, and that can be insanely powerful. If you're
at low levels for sure.
But it also gets you such a jump start. You don't even have to waste a class feat to set yourself back,
Right.
It really puts them ahead. And I can double check. It's possible you can't take the other archetype feats until level 4 anyway. But just being able to start with that and not having to waste a feat.
Are you worried? Are you worried a lot of stuff like that's going to come in the Advanced Player's Guide?
Overpowered things?
Yes.
If it's all overpowered and works,
because in 1st edition that kind of happened.
Really?
The core book had a lot of overpowered combinations anyway. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's 42 of the freaking things. A few of them are bound to be a little imbalanced.
yeah,
I don't think it'll break the game. What I like is that they're adding so many role play archetypes, like the dandy, the celebrity, the archaeologist. They're not going to help you as much in battle, but they'll give you those bonuses or cool actions to take.
right.
And that's one thing I haven't gotten to use yet, but I Pathfinder 2nd Edition has the perfect system for setting up social encounters where you still roll initiative, and on your turn, there are various skill actions you can take, like coerce or impress and all of that. And there's nothing in it, but I think I might homebrew like a system of hit points, but it's more like credibility points where, especially in like a courtroom system, like a courtroom situation,
right.
If people prove things against you, they'll deal credibility damage. And if you hit 0,
would that almost work like influence in the Game Mastery Guide?
Possibly. I haven't looked into the Game Mastery Guide as much as I would like to.
So someone crucified me on a recent video that wasn't even about this, but the subsystems in here, I think it's like 146 or something.
I see it, influence, yeah.
They have a lot of these subsystems that are built for like situations that arise in game that you might not anticipate. So like a courtroom or something would probably, so influence gives rules for more in-depth social encounters involving influencing NPCs. Yeah. Reputation is another one. Breathes life into a world around the PCs as various groups of NPCs react favorably or unfavorably. Or victory points in general is a good one. But
yeah,
anyways,
I like
the reason
that.
it came up is because in a Pathfinder 2nd Edition group, a game master asked, how would you like, I have a group that wants to chop a tree down and have it fall on some goblins. How would you handle this? And so, I was like, I would allow it, because there were a bunch of people saying not to allow it. So my whole video was just about allowing it somehow. And so then I was just like, why not just have a pool of hit points and just whatever. Every round they do a turn, whatever. Yeah. And someone was like, that's not even one of the subsystems. You should just actually learn the rules of the game and use the subsystems.
At the end of the day, they are guidelines. Everything in that book is a guideline. Right. And I know there's the people out there who are like, well, if they're just guidelines, what's the point of having rules at all?
Right.
Because, I mean, and it depends on the player. Every player and every DM is different. For me, rules and storytelling are pretty equal, but storytelling will always barely trump rules. And fun trumps all of that. So 100%. Rather than spend 45 minutes searching for a rule of how much damage does a tree do when it falls, exactly, just say, okay, everything makes a reflex save, or otherwise it takes 2d10. Boom.
Right, that's the easiest way you can do it. So then he's like, your 5e is showing. So I asked him, and I'll admit, his response to how he would handle it is perfect, and it's within the rules, and it's good.
Okay.
And the subsystems are well done, but like off the top of my head, I wasn't thinking, victory.
Exactly.
I should do this.
How are you supposed to know?
One person's chopping the tree, another person's trying to guide it, another one's like distracting them. So if all 3 succeed, then it kills all 3 goblins. If 2 succeed, it kills 2 of the 3 goblins. Like I wasn't thinking about all this stuff, I'm just like,
and especially there's a lot of pressure on the DM, especially not only to run the campaign, but you want to make sure everyone's still enjoying it and still knows what's going on and is still making progress. Because I mean, no matter what, every game's gonna have a session where nothing gets done.
Yep. I play 3-hour sessions online. I don't go over that. And there are times where it feels like, okay, we did one thing. You know? Because honestly,
if you get more than one thing done, it's pretty much a blessing. Especially if the kind of players who love to sniff around and investigate everything. Yeah. Oh man, it's hard.
Or if they get heavy into role playing, and social interactions, then you might spend a good majority of that just talking.
Yeah, and as long as all the players are having fun, I don't mind. The place where I do slightly draw the line is if, like, in a 4-man group, 2 people are super into role play and the other 2 are not digging it.
Dragging.
I try to wrap it up or at least get them involved. Like, we have a quiet orc in the background of our game, of our 2nd edition game. And, all the other characters sort of going back and forth. And, people were talking. I just go, hey, Tor, what are you thinking right now? And, it gets them involved. And especially if after that I see they're not into it, that's when I'm like, all right, we need to wrap this up and move it on so that everyone can enjoy it. Yeah. I have some players who like combat. I have some who like role play. So I try to balance it.
For me, both can get boring if they're slow and they take a long time. I'm when it comes to role playing games, I feel like I have ADHD. Like when I'm sitting at the table, I need things to move a little bit quicker. no matter what it is.
My least favorite, and it does happen, is when the role play situation is in such a way that nothing needs to be rolled. No one's trying to diplomatize or intimidate or anything. So it's just talking, and that can get really boring for some players. I don't mind it, but I know it's not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah, like I've played sessions where it was really boring. I've played some that were, if I feel like I'm learning something about the world that's interesting, or learning something that pertains to the story and it's good, I'm hooked. I'm in. It's just when it's like, oh yeah, we're just talking about our drinks and our food and like, I don't know, small talking. Then it's like
water cooler conversation.
Yeah.
The only exception I have to that, I love a good comedic diversion, even in a very serious campaign. Like our campaign is them working to stop Rovagug, the god of destruction, from reawakening.
It's pretty intense,
right? It's been a lot of fun. But at when they're traveling, especially just for fun, I always roll a D10. And depending on the situation, there's a higher chance of stuff to show up. Sure. And the rule book has some built-in encounter guidelines. And I'm like, I'll follow them for fun. And I rolled the D10. And I got a 9, which was a hazard. And then I looked down the hazard, and one of them was hole in the ground. And it had like a perception of like 12. So the ranger just spots it with her passive. I was like, hey, there's a hole in the ground. And we spent like 15 minutes with them like looking at it, inspecting it. Like, does this mean anything?
What's in there? Are we supposed to go down it? Are we supposed to find a hidden wall?
And then after like 15 minutes, they're just like, we moved on. And it's one of our favorite moments in the entire campaign.
I definitely like my beer and pretzels RPGs a little bit. Like where it's not too serious. So my Descent game that I play with, it's obviously a 5e game that we play with Nate and Luke and Jake from their YouTube channels and my wife. It feels like a more chill game. Like it doesn't feel super serious all the time. You know what I mean? And I kind of like that. Because sometimes when it's too serious, it's like emotionally taxing. Like,
that's totally fair. Yeah, I've had sessions like that in the past. Most of my campaigns are like you described, because I usually play with friends. I actually have never played with complete randoms. But in our no, it wasn't even 3.5. That's right. We played a whole 7-month campaign in D&D Basic, which was using just the rules cyclopedia from like '89. It was the thing that was used to convert characters.
Were you even born then?
No, I wasn't. 95. And I looked at it and I'm like, we're going to play a campaign like this by the books. The only time we're going to change a rule is if we can't find it. And so we followed like the encounter rules, everything, the magic user class rule. Yeah. Oh man, it was garbage, but it was so much fun. We got so creative with it. But the saddest part is the one time our magic user made a kind of stupid mistake. They were fighting a cave full of ice knolls, and he stepped out and tried to cast, I think the spell was just blind. And the knoll made its save and saw him and just fired off a spell at him, which I had homebrewed an ice spike spell. And it hit and it rolled max damage and
he's a wizard.
Shot him. He's a wizard who at level 7 had 9 hit points.
Oh, I believe that.
Because he had a -1 constitution. Yeah. Wizards. Oh, it was bad.
We played the first D&D game I ever played was 2nd edition back in 2010 because I spent 13 years playing Palladium books, never tried D&D, and my wife was into D&D, and when I met her, she ended up running 2nd edition after we moved in together, and I remember we had a wizard at first level with like 3 hit points.
Yeah,
and it had a similar thing that was like -1 or something.
Oh yeah,
and then so there were levels where he literally got no hit points.
Yep, you'd roll a 1 just with a -1.
Because you had to roll every time.
It was awful. And like at first level, they get like 1 level 1 spell slot. Cantrips didn't exist.
Yep.
So he would fire a magic missile and then he was useless.
In 2nd edition, you can do a cantrip, but a cantrip is like cleaning. It's like such a minor bullshit.
Oh, it's like prestidigitation, but
kinda.
Less.
It's like it's like think Fantasia where the broom sweeps the floor for you.
Right.
Like that's a cantrip.
I'm so happy that as systems have gone forward, cantrips have gotten more useful.
I agree.
It definitely I understand that in the older editions, magic was supposed to be much more rare, much harder to control, took a lot longer to master. But from a gameplay perspective, I think the modern day magic systems are a little bit better.
I think it makes it more fun for players.
I was just talking to my friend.
Most players.
From the wizard spell preparation system from 3.5 to 5e. Personally, a lot of people, and I can't say a lot of people, my friends don't like the way that I run this personally. But when someone wants to play a wizard, I effectively let it function as a sorcerer.
So they just know all their spells.
Right, yeah, that I don't make
have
them
to
prepare specific spells. Yeah, because that ends up getting a little bit tedious. And I always figured, you know, like the World of Warcraft mana, you know, you always have access to all your spells. You know, I feel like it doesn't break the game. Sorcerers and wizards are still distinct because sorcerers know less spells but get more per day. I was going somewhere with this.
You love the cantrips were more accessible. You were talking about wizards 3.5 to 5e spells.
Oh, right. But yeah, 3.5 was rough. Like, I cannot abide by 3.5's spell preparation system, which is not only do you select which spells do you want access to that day.
How many of them?
Exactly.
Yeah, second edition was that way too. Like, I'm going to memorize heal wounds twice today. And I'm going to do, you know, whatever. Sacred, I don't know if Sacred Flame was in there. It's not. But I'm going to do that once per day. Like,
it's so specific.
Yeah,
and like
that.
The odds of not using a spell were huge.
Yeah,
no,
it just doesn't make sense at all. I don't. When I first played D&D, that was the thing that always bothered me too. Is like how you prepared spells. You know, and obviously we played second edition. I also did not like the spell slots idea. I prefer mana, like because I can play them, and that's what they use. They had inner strength and inner like psionic points or whatever.
And I've grown up playing like video game RPGs my whole life.
Same thing. Yeah, you get mana or magic points or whatever.
Right, and stronger spells take more mana, which is similar to spell slots.
Yeah, so I did like, and I never used it, but 5e has a mana system in their DMs.
Does it really?
Yeah, it's just
like a variant rule.
Yeah, it's a variant rule. Yep.
Okay. Cool.
I thought about like doing that with like 5e, but I never found a group that actually wanted to do that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's
like, you oftentimes you want to stay by the books just to keep things simple. Because if you homebrew one thing, someone's gonna want to homebrew something else. You know what I mean?
Yep, 100%. So I've never really been a huge Vancian Magic fan.
I mean, I haven't been the player that often. I'm playing a wizard in my 3.5 campaign, which is why I know all this off the top of my head right now. And it's fun. But yeah. DMing my other campaign. I've mostly DM'd. I think I've only played 3 or 4 campaigns. I played a dwarven cleric, playing a human wizard. Those are the only 2 that I've ever played for an extended period of time. We also played some Call of Cthulhu and Shadowrun. But
what's been your absolute favorite character you've ever played?
Oh god, I mean, my favorite out of the 4 that I can like remember is definitely, honestly, it's funnily enough the first character I ever made, and I made him in about 5 minutes. I had been studying up on Dungeons and Dragons, and my friends were like, "Hey, you want to join our campaign? We're only like 2 sessions in," and I'm like, "Yeah." And so I'm like, "When do you start?" Well, they're like, 20 minutes in the basement, because we were in college in the dorm, and I'm like, "Okay." So I looked online, I followed a guide, I just made a dwarven cleric named Jorv.
Yep.
And I was like, oh god, I need a lawful good deity. And I saw the first thing that showed up, and I wrote it down on my sheet, and I sprinted downstairs and showed my sheet to the dungeon master. And he's like, everything looks good. I see you're lawful good, and you worship Vecna, the goddess of secrets? You know she's lawful evil, right? I'm like, oh, no, I can change that. And he goes, no, you don't need to change it. And he hands me my character sheet and goes, Jorv is convinced she's a lawful good goddess. And the entire campaign, she lied to me, like praising and worshiping her, like, oh yeah, I'm totally lawful good. And like everyone in the party would always be like, you're serious. And I'm a hard-headed dwarf, you know, like, you don't know Vecna, you're all giving her a bad name. She's a lawful good goddess of goodness and kindness. And it was so fun being just the stubborn pig-headed dwarf.
That's great.
It was a lot of fun.
Like that is the whole reason playing against type is great. Like just in general. Like you go against the whole stereotype. But that sounds like it's led to some really cool role playing.
Oh, it really, really did. Yeah, speaking of like going against type, just to keep bringing up Pathfinder, Pathfinder 2e is sort of given options to go against type now.
Yes.
Like rogues get to pick a racket at first level, and that actually changes their key ability score. You can pick thief, which is your run-of-the-mill, you know, like dexterity, bonuses to stealth and pickpocket and stuff. But they also have the scoundrel, which is a charisma-based rogue. in combat they can actually they can take the feint action, which
Mm-hmm.
throws the opponent off by performing a fake attack to give a
Right.
bonus on your actual next attack. And then there's
I think I watched Q Times or something when they were doing the Rogue video.
Okay.
And I think I picked up on that. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Right. And my personal favorite, the Ruffian, which is a strength-based rogue.
Yep.
That can perform sneak attacks with any simple weapon.
Yeah.
So in a recent video I made for my patron exclusive video, I made a Ruffian thief with a long spear that can sneak attack with the long spear because it's a simple weapon.
Right. Just doing stuff because you can is cool.
Exactly. There's so much fun, stupid stuff you can do. I made a video, another character concept video about the Not a Monk fighter, because at first level, fighters have a higher proficiency with unarmed strikes than monks, and I hate it.
And so they also get unarmored defense, and you can basically make anything a monk.
Pretty much, yeah.
At first level.
Now, granted, monks are the only ones that get key and get the powerful fists feature.
Yes.
So what I did as a fighter is I just took 2 levels in the monk archetype to get one of the stances, because now the monk stances are really cool, man. Have you looked into those?
I've looked at them. I've not. So I don't like monks in the first place.
I'm not a big
monks
fan.
Are my most despised thing that I wish I could just.
They're overcomplicated. They don't fit the world.
I just don't want them in my fantasy. Yeah,
it's fair. It's
throw
fair.
them in an Oriental Adventures campaign.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry if that's not politically correct, but that's just put it in a book with samurai and ninja. And, we'll call it.
But the gameplay of them is really cool. For their first action in combat, they can assume a stance, and it actually changes their unarmed strikes, deals different damage, different traits, different effects. It's all kinds of cool.
It is cool. There's so much versatility. The whole 3-action economy thing.
It's so good.
I wish they did. So I like that some spells can be used as a single, double, or 3 actions, like the healing spell, and they do different things.
I love that. I honestly wish they would do that more.
Spells. Yes, that's that was a huge opportunity. I feel like they missed.
Well, funnily enough, monks actually get one of those. Their Ki Blast is either 1, 2, or 3 actions, increases the range, width, and damage of it.
It's basically like a Ryu from Street Fighter.
Right, yeah, or a Dragon Ball Z character. But I'm hoping they add more of those with APG. I don't know if they're adding spells. I imagine they're adding spells with APG.
Yeah, they're adding everything.
Yeah.
They've got it.
I haven't even checked out Gods and Magic for the new spells from
so
that.
I've been reading reviews because I haven't bought that. So I have none of the Lost Omen books. I just have the Game Mastery Guide, the Bestiary Core Rulebook, and the GM Screen so far. I got the Lost Omens Player's Guide coming. I just ordered it today. So I should have that next week. But I've heard even that doesn't offer a lot of options. Obviously, you get the Leshy, and you get a couple of the Hobgoblin.
Right, you get some extra ancestry and stuff. I've never heard of any of them as must-buy books. You know what I mean?
Right.
A lot of it is lore, I think.
Yeah.
Which is fine in its own right. Lore is great to work with.
It's fun to read. That's about it for me. I don't usually play in the settings. I don't.
Oh really? Oh okay.
Yeah, I like to run homebrew more.
That's
just because for me it's easier to make stuff up on the fly.
Oh, that's definitely what I do as well. Yeah. I will typically take the map of the area, and if I see something cool, I'll run with it. Our campaign takes. I don't know how familiar you are with Galarian at all.
A little bit. Sandpoint and Versia mostly.
Okay. Do you?
I have a bunch of the little splat books too from first edition.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Taldor and Kadira?
Not offhand, no.
Okay, they're in the southeastern area.
That's
of
why
the sea. Yeah. And Kadira is basically a giant desert continent, and Taldor is this nice luscious plain.
Yeah, Syria and all that area.
Yeah. And so they started in just a town of Sadiq, which there's not much information on. So I'm like, okay, it has a big Colosseum and it's a big member of the slave trade. And it was out of these, I just dropped these things in. I don't necessarily go buy the books for the lore, but I also saw, Kadira in the lore is constantly at war with Taldor to the north. So I threw that in. Now that's part of it. And so I homebrew a lot, but I steal whatever I want from the actual lore.
Yeah. So that's how I am. Even with my modules, I don't usually like to run modules. I'm just starting to get into it.
Yeah.
I'm running Descent into Avernus. We're 9 sessions in.
Okay.
I'm starting a Tyranny of Dragons campaign. I've ran that a couple times before because I used to run Adventures League. But I'm going to start that here in the next month because one of my patrons bought me the special edition book.
Oh, nice.
And so the rule is I have to now run that campaign for him. And so I just was like, hey, patrons, do you guys want to play? And I brought some of my patrons and someone from my Discord and then my wife, and we're just going to play it. Yeah, so that's going to be a good time. But usually I'll cherry pick things out of modules or out of setting books. Like the Inner Sea World Guide, I have the first one, Inner Sea Gods. Like I've read through them, not the whole thing cover to cover, but just little bits here and there. And then I have a bunch of the little Pathfinder splat books, like the Linorm Kings, Mwangi Expands, and like all sorts of stuff, like all the different dragons where they're at and stuff. Love those books. I'm always taking good like inspiration out of them.
I will say that's another complaint on Pathfinder is monster building is very difficult. Luckily, the bestiaries are full of stuff, but it's hard to balance creatures because, I mean, all creatures also use the proficiency system where the level of the creature gives them a flat bonus to everything. And so balancing, there's some stuff online. It's not perfect, but I've been able to homebrew my own stuff. Worst case scenario, it's pretty easy to slap a skin on something similar enough.
Yeah, and tweak things.
And like I said, the bestiary is so in depth. Just from the bestiary, they've fought everything.
Do you like hobgoblins and bugbears?
As playable races, I'm not quite sure. Hobgoblins have always had a soft spot in my heart because I feel like they're overlooked.
In Pathfinder, though, do you like them? I hate the art for them.
Oh, I haven't seen them.
I love the art. They're like dangly and skinny, scrawny. Like I don't know. I'm not.
Let me see. I love the kobolds. Kobolds are cool looking.
Yeah. I'm cool with them too.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically a tall goblin, but it looks like the goblin's head didn't change size.
Yeah. I'm just not a fan of like the hobgoblins and bugbear art.
Yeah, the bugbear. Bugbear I don't mind as much. I like I mean, they almost look like orcs in some other series I can't place. But yeah, there are these like bestial hairy orcs in some series that I can't think of right now.
Yeah. I do like goblins. I love the goblins in
Goblins are great.
I do like them.
I love all the core races, honestly. I don't think they did any of them dirty. I'm excited for full-blooded orcs. I'm excited for kobolds, catfolk, rat. Did they announce ratfolk? I forget if they announced ratfolk.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm excited. August 5th, Advanced Player's Guide, man.
Dude, I know. I want it. I'm probably going to try to run a campaign with the APG and that new adventure path that's coming out.
Which one? The Agents of Edgewatch?
No, the like Slither or something. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know if it's an adventure path. Let me see if I can find it. Because they just pushed it like Okay. The Slithering.
Oh.
Yeah, that comes out July 30th.
That's the same time their Lost Omens Legends comes out too, I think.
They have a lot coming out right now.
Yeah, they were going nice and slow, and now they're like, here's a million things.
So I think this might be a standalone, actually. It's a deluxe adventure, which I'm not sure what that means, but that might mean it's a standalone.
Doesn't that mean thick?
How
many pages?
Sure.
See if you can see.
I'm not quite sure. It's only 23. I mean, it's $23. So I think that means it might just be a standalone because it also just says 4 5th level characters, not like 5th to 7th or anything like that. So it might just be a like 2 or 3 session standalone playthrough adventure.
Shadow AGU says they did announce Ratfolk.
Oh, they did. Yes. Oh, I'm excited for that. I love Ratfolk. I don't know if you follow. I don't remember what his name was on Twitter, but he's been releasing his personal homebrewed Rabbit Folk.
No, that doesn't ring a bell.
Oh man, yeah, it's one of the Paizo designers on their Twitter.
Oh, is it Luis Loza? Luis Loza.
It might be. Yeah, I think it is Luis. Yeah,
he does put out a lot. I actually interviewed him not too long ago on here.
Oh, nice.
And he puts out stuff on the No Direction website on the blog there and stuff as well. He's got a lot of cool stuff, or how to use hero points and like all sorts of things he's been putting out. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love the Rabbit Folk are a cool idea. I love it.
Did I see that? Now maybe I did see it. I'm gonna have to pull that up and check. Let me double check.
Although now I'm curious enough, what happens if you have like a rat folk animal instinct barbarian? I guess the rat just turns into a different animal.
Yes.
I'm thinking if they ever release an animal race that's the same as one of the instincts for the barbarian. Like if there's ever a bear folk, what happens if you take the bear instinct on the bear folk?
Well, then you are just twice the bear that the rest of the bears
double bear.
That's awesome. I would totally do that.
Right? Oh my god. There's so many things I want to play in this system.
So how many games have you run so far of Pathfinder 2nd Edition? It's only been out for like a year and a half now?
I ran a one-shot with some friends to test out the system, and that was back in like January, February. Yeah. And since then, we've been running a weekly game. That's the only single game I've run of Pathfinder. Is this my one session with my group of 4 weekly. Gotcha. I want to run more. But yeah, I'm part of a 3.5, and I would love to do more Pathfinder.
Right. There he is. I was like, I can't find him. He's a game lover and taco eater.
Who is?
Luis Loza.
Oh,
That's his profile. He's at do nat I can't even say his name. Do Classic.
oh yeah.
On Twitter. But yes, he has done all sorts of stuff that he shares, like his new ancestry, Rabbit Folk Part 3.
There it is. Yep.
100%.
Feats. Yeah, really cool stuff.
I love his stuff, and he's always putting things out on his own stuff. So he's the Lost Omens developer.
Okay, so he's specifically doing stuff related to the Lost Omens.
Yeah, like they're basically like him and like one other person, I think, or maybe two other people are at the top of deciding like what goes into the books and stuff.
Okay, now that's is that unrelated to the Advanced Player's Guide? Then is that like a sort of a separate?
I'm sure he's probably worked on that as well, but yes, they're separate things.
Okay.
Yeah, gotcha. So obviously Lost Omens is based on their setting. So anything Lost Omens is all setting stuff. But I bet you he's probably got some credits in the Advanced Player's Guide if you look.
I'm curious, did you have any questions about the system for me?
Dude, about the system is hard because I haven't played it. I feel like I'm ready to play it, right?
Okay.
I know I'm going to mess up rules, but I feel at the same time I've done as much as I can do from reading and watching videos as I possibly can.
Right, and
you know what I mean?
So much of it is learned via gameplay. One of my community members in our Discord posted how he and his friends got together. None of them had played Pathfinder. I don't think any of them had ever played a tabletop RPG before, which I love to see new people get into it. And the first encounter, they dominated, and so we tried to make the second one a little harder, and they almost died. And none of them knew how to handle dying, and so but apparently it was just a ton of fun because they were all sort of clueless, Right.
Do you feel like the game goes, because there's rules for everything? Like you said, you go into initiative order for social. You've got all these different things. Do you feel like it slows down because of that?
I have seen nothing differing the speed from 5th edition to 3.5. I mean, that's 2nd edition Pathfinder. Honestly,
does combat go slower?
Combat seems to go smoother. I won't say it goes faster or slower, but I have never had an issue where my players are like, what can I do next? They all, because you can strategize, I think ahead of time they plan a lot more like what they're gonna do. I haven't had any issues with speed.
Sure.
We're probably, I think, 10-ish sessions into this game, and we've made pretty good headway. Well, I'm leveling them up pretty fast. I think they're level 6 now.
Right.
But and even the combats that do last a little bit longer, tend to be involved. It's never just I hit him, I'm done. I hit him, I'm done. It's constant. Like our even just our fighter, the classic just I hit stuff class, took all of the like brutish bullying feats. So he's constantly knocking enemies to the ground. They stand up next to him. He gets an attack of opportunity and he shoves them back to the ground and moves. He can push things away from people. And it's constant battlefield manipulation, status effects. The cleric's healing is always just off the charts. And that's another thing I've liked. That I'm curious how more people will get into it. Will feel about it. The number inflation, because numbers in Pathfinder are bigger than D&D.
Like starting with 20 hit points, almost minimum. Yeah, like some stuff as high as almost 30. It seems.
Yeah, our fighter who is wielding a 2-handed sword for a 1d12 damage. Used power attack, which attacks for 2d12, and then he got a critical hit, which I also love the critical hit system of Pathfinder, where it just beat the armor class by 10 or more, and it's a crit. I love that. And so at he was level 4 at the time, and he crit for I think 50 damage, which is awesome. But then in the same fight, the enemy crit him for 42. So he's a fighter, so luckily he has 45 to 50 hit points, and he took the hit. But you make your players feel super powerful, but the enemies are just as powerful. So it's you get these really cool, dangerous fights.
So the bestiary, one of the things, because I have not dug into this very much. Okay. One of the things I had heard in I think it was Cody from Taken 20 had said, the abilities, when you're on a monster page, you still have to go somewhere else to see how a lot of them work.
Sometimes, yes.
That's kind of frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing you have to look up is conditions.
Right.
And that comes with playing. And once you're used to it,
Mm-hmm.
it gets a lot more manageable and a lot of fun. Like the clumsy condition causes anything dex based to take a penalty. And I like
Yeah.
that conditions can have values. So if you're clumsy 2, all your dex based stuff is taking a -2 penalty. So you can inflict this very specific damage. If an enemy is a spellcaster and you inflict them with enfeebled, they take a penalty to all wisdom, intelligence, and charisma checks, and they have to land a flat DC 5 or higher roll, or their spell fizzles because they're so that's stupefied, not enfeebled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's all these cool conditions, and there's a lot of them. My actual next video coming out on Sunday is all about conditions. I think I counted. I think there's like 40 to 45 conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it takes a long time to learn. The difference between slowed and stunned and quickened and wounded, and it's a lot. But once you learn that, it's really in depth and cool. And for me, as long as the DM knows about the conditions, you're fine. And if you have a good DM screen, it'll have the conditions right on it.
Yeah, and I have the GM screen, so I'm going to keep that up as a player because I'm playing online, just so I can quickly see stuff.
Why not?
So I'm like, this might be useful tomorrow.
Yeah. Who knows? And again, like you said before about the player just knowing what they can do, if the fighter has an ability that causes clumsy, then maybe somewhere on the character sheet or even just under the feat itself, just add in clumsy 1 equals -1 dex.
Right.
Just to remind themselves, like, okay, that creature's AC is down by 1 because of clumsy.
Right. Yeah, like using a bigger weapon, I think, causes clumsy. Like for the barbarian, what's her name? I can't think of her name offhand. But she has
the giant instinct. Yes, the giant instinct. If you use
a weapon bigger than you, basically.
Yeah, because I think giant instinct barbarians can use like even bigger weapons than normal, which I think up their damage dice.
Which their iconic barbarian uses that huge giant sword.
Yeah,
and she like on her because I looked. One of the things I did when I made my character was I was like, all right, I want to at least see how this stacks up with the iconic, because you can get the pre-gens off their website for free.
Oh, okay.
And so I was like, oh, what does she look like? And they've got her like through level 5 or something.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, okay, she's got clumsy. Okay. And then I did the giant. I think maybe I did draconic. I don't remember which one I did. I think it was draconic.
Also, Chance, hit me up on Twitter about that. I'll talk to you after the stream.
Right? Yeah, me too. Friday nights are typically when I do my.
I would be 100%, and Fridays are free for me.
See, perfect. Chance, if you can do it on a Friday, which obviously you're available tonight, there you go. You've got your first 2 players. And then let us know if you use Fantasy Grounds or Roll20 or what.
I haven't used either of those. I need to learn.
I'd
probably do Roll20. I actually either use Pure Theater of the Mind or Tabletop Simulator.
So Theater of the Mind with Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
Yes.
Have you found that easy, hard? What do you think?
It depends on the group. Me personally, I can remember how far things are from each other. Right. I feel like to get the full in-depth combat experience, a grid is nice, but it's possible without. As the DM, I find it fairly easy as long as it's not like a 20-person fight. Be like, okay, Ranger, you're 25 feet away. Fighter, you're 10 feet away. Blah, blah, blah. And even sometimes when I'm keeping notes, I'll jot down, 25 feet, 10 feet, 5 feet. And I'll just update that so that distance doesn't matter for them. The players don't need to think about that. They just need to know where they are now. And I can easily keep track of how far everyone is. And there's been a few moments where, the players are like, so what's going on right now? Mm-hmm. And it's been pretty easy to be like, okay, the monster's to your left. He is being flanked by the Ranger, and the Sorcerer is behind the tree 45 feet away.
Yeah.
And as long as the players can follow along with that, I've had no issue with it. Though oftentimes we do use the grid in Tabletop Simulator.
Right. Interesting. So what do you think of Tabletop Simulator?
I've been using it for 4 or 5 years. It's a little hard to get used to, but I just like the freedom. You can import anything. And you can spawn in tokens and whatnot. I've never used Roll20, so I don't know the comparison. But my issue with Roll20 is just how expensive it is. Yeah. Tabletop Simulator, you can get it all for free. It doesn't come with the rule books or anything. I do all of that in PDFs and stuff.
Yeah. Roll20 has a free version as well, obviously.
Right, but at least one person needs to have the core rulebook to play the system, right?
No, you can play. I mean,
really?
So you can do. There's a lot of manual stuff you could do, but you could just use it for the grids.
Okay.
And then if you want, like, you could just have your PDF character sheets and just play the game and use the dice rollers.
All right.
Want,
yeah.
but honestly, I use real dice. I
no, me and my friends, we have always used the honor system. We've all trusted each other.
Perfect.
It's so much more fun to roll your own dice, you know?
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
I know people who use like Discord bots connected with D&D Beyond. And I'm like, oh,
I've played a game using Discord bots. But we had to because we were doing like Fantasy Flight Star Wars style game where it's story dice. So it's pictures rather than numbers. And they mean different things and they cancel out. And so that was kind of helpful, especially since I didn't know the system well.
Yeah.
But other than that, I hate dice apps.
No, I will always allow my players to roll. I've never knowingly been deceived by my players. In a 5e one shot, one of my players did get 3 crits in one combat. But at that point, it's so hard. You know, you can't tell, are they really likes? They wouldn't have any reason to lie. I know this guy. I've played with him before. And so that's when it just happens. And even the player's like, I promise I'm not cheating.
Right. Yeah.
And we laugh about it. It's fun.
Yeah, okay, so SR2 Joker said, dude, what FFG? Yeah, Fantasy Flight Games, Star Wars. So I played that in person once with one of my Discord members who lives near me. He volunteered to come over, brought all the games, pre-gens, and so we played a game at my house in January, I think.
Okay.
And then he's really cool. And then online, I have a friend who's making a system that's based on that with some tweaks. We play tested it back in March, I think, maybe February. And it uses similar mechanics to the Fantasy Flight Star Wars game. Same style dice. It did at that time. Now he's changed it. So it's not exactly a rip-off, you know? And it's, so we're going to be play testing that actually coming up on a Friday soon. But, and I mean, you kind of need something because the way it works is you have like positive and negative dice you roll. It's a dice pool system. Okay. And so certain symbols cancel out other symbols. And then some symbols allow you to add like narrative to it. So like you might succeed, but you have like a negative thing that applies. So yes, I opened the control panel to the garage, but now it's broken and I can't close it.
Interesting.
Or, we're able to get the plane off the ground, but in the process, our weapon systems are down. Like you can add the narrative to it. Yeah, it's awesome. It actually is a really cool system.
Yeah, nice.
I
like that.
Fantasy Flight not canceled, but they've ended their RPG line though, so they will not be doing more stuff.
Are they the ones that are doing card games now?
Yeah, they've done board games and card games and stuff for a while.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool though. I kind of. There's some really awesome narrative things out there. And like, so Pathfinder 2nd Edition, I love how they do like crits now. Where it's this tiered system. You either like crit fail, the basic succeed or crit succeed.
Crit succeed, yes.
And it's not based on 1s or 20s.
Right, yeah. Like 1 or a 20, actually by the rules is still an auto fail.
Is it an auto fail or doesn't it change the tier?
I think it's an auto crit either way.
Gotcha.
I could be wrong. I'd have to double check. It's one of those rules that's like hidden at the beginning of the game of the rule book. But yeah, we've been playing where a 20 is an auto crit and a 1 is an auto fail. But also, if you beat the DC by 10 or more, or fail by 10 or more, it's also a crit success or crit fail, which I love because rogues especially, rogues get a lot of ways to inflict flat-footed and clumsy specifically that lower the armor class. So not only you but your allies. Like lowering armor class now also increases critical hit chance, which I love that. Like there's no more crit ranges on weapons or anything. I prefer this system so much.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
it is bumped up or down a tier.
Yep. So I remember seeing that because I was like, so if a 1 is actually just a failure, it's now an auto crit fail.
Okay, but if you're like level 15 doing something really easy and that gets bumped up to a 19, then
it might still succeed.
Okay, interesting.
It might. Like say say you're level 20 and you've got the train, so now it's automatically a 22 on your roll. You roll a 1, so that's 23. You only needed a 15 to succeed. So now that would actually fail. But
it'd just be a basic fail.
Right, but if it was a 10 and you would have crit succeeded, now you just succeed.
If you rolled a 10?
No. If you rolled a 1, the DC is 10. And
Gotcha.
that makes your number 23. Yeah. So now that's
so you can still succeed even on a nat 1.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So that's a really extreme example that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But that's the explanation.
That's good to know, actually. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the things I was reading. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, because I could see how that might matter, like especially doing opposed rolls or something.
Right. Yeah.
You know. But yeah, there's so many cool things about this system.
I love it, man.
Yeah, like it's different. Like I hated. So one of the reasons I was so slow to come to it too was that people were like, "Oh, it's just Pathfinder 1E all over again." No, it's not. No. Then there were those section of people who were like, "Oh, it's just basically D&D 5e," and then it's definitely not. Like, people are so far off. I even have a friend who said it's only good for combat, and like, I don't know what he's talking about, but
dude, like aside from like
skills are way better in this than they are in 5e even.
Yeah, like especially the skill feats, which you get every even level. Aside from some very specific ones, mostly just intimidation,
and they're
almost all roleplay focused.
Yes.
Yeah, and like even some intimidation that gets some roleplay, like group coercion is an intimidation feat that lets you intimidate more than one person at the same time, you know?
Yes.
Like it's huge. There's so much.
Like some of them even have sub rules within them. Like
I don't know,
like crafting's cool, but
we're not going to touch crafting. We'll be here all night.
Yeah, I don't like that it's under skills. I give that to people. It should be under downtime.
Again, the weakest point is the rulebook, because crafting is under skills, it's under game mastering, I believe, and it's under crafting and treasure. And it's under magic items.
Right. But to get like what you need, you have to like look at all of them or something.
Yeah, it's crafting is a mess in the core rulebook.
Yes. So, but like the game itself is good, I think. I'm really excited. I think I'm gonna love it. I do.
I'm almost positive you will. And the progression is like leveling up feels so good because of the proficiency system. So everything you're proficient in when you level up is going up by at least +1.
I don't like the scaling DC system. So, for example, like at 5th level, I'm in this tavern, and I go to lockpick the door in the back of the room.
Okay.
And it's whatever. Say it's a DC 12. I don't know.
Okay.
I come back to it 10 levels later. Same door, same lock, and now it's supposed to be harder based on the rules.
Oh, as a DM, I wasn't aware of that rule. I don't do that. No. Yeah. Honestly, as a DM, so for the Pathfinder 2nd Edition I've always stated it as, in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, you're not making characters, you're making heroes. Especially if you're not rolling for stats. Every first level character is going to end with really good stats. At least 118, maybe 2 if you're dumping everything into the same 2 stats. And by that logic, you're able as a dungeon master to create much more extravagant adventures. Yes. I will definitely say 5th edition will make more believable characters. But in 2nd edition, no, like if you go to that lock and it's a DC 12 at level 1, it's still going to be a DC 12 at level 15. You're level 15 rogue. You know how to pick a lock at this point.
Right. That's how I'm going to rule it for sure. I'm just going to say, okay, my scale is not going to be a sliding DC scale.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and honestly, it's going to be just a 1 through 50 or whatever the hell the high numbers
and but between you and me and the 13 people in the chat, I sort of BS not BS, but like I think about where they are, what they're doing, and I come up with my DC often on the spot, you know? Yes. If they're trying to intimidate somebody to give them a package and they haven't done anything hostile, the DC is going to be higher. But, you know, if they've already like punched him in the gut and now they're intimidating him, the DC will probably be a little bit lower because he's actually feeling threatened. And so I take in all the different player actions and environment and all the different factors when determining a DC.
Right. Yep. And I'm like, that's how I am for sure. I've always like, it's funny because like I've had this talk with people and they're like, well, you need to keep it balanced. I'm like, you don't technically have to keep anything balanced. I come from systems where balance is not that important.
Right.
Like, played in books, you have like someone in a giant mech suit, you can have someone playing a dragon, and then you can literally have a normal person who's like so squishy, like it's not even funny. So balance is out the window.
Right. Again, gameplay trumps everything, and like specifically fun balances rules, trumps rules, it trumps balance. Yeah.
And I don't think DCs are gonna change that.
No, and like, again, you don't even necessarily need to tell your players I don't tell my players what the DC is. I know some dungeon masters do, but you know, if my rogue rolls to pick a lock and rolls a 29, I'm like, cool, you do it. They don't know if it was a DC 8 or a 28. They don't know how much they beat it by.
So here's
unless it's a crit success.
So here's something. So skills. I don't know. I haven't read that. I'm not reading this, but it's got like it's got a table on page 61 of the Game Mastery Guide. Like I think this is for monsters. Never mind. It might not matter. Never mind. It's for monsters. No, ignore me. I was like, yeah, it's got this chart. But yeah, like I don't know, like so there's things like that, like that little get under my skin a little. And there's so many people who are like rules as written, blah blah blah. And like
it can be fun to play rules as written.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're playing with people you're not familiar with, or especially if you're playing with first time players, rules as written is not a bad way to go. But if you're with a comfortable group of friends who just want to tell a cool story and have fun, I'd say, fun trumps all of that. You know, that's why homebrew exists. You know, it's because people don't necessarily agree with the rules or want to do something that's not in the rules and just have fun their way.
What is your favorite aspect of this game? Like, what is it that if someone were to say, look, I'm considering Pathfinder 2nd Edition, like what is the one thing that is like your selling point on it?
I guess it would depend what they're asking about. Personally, since I really love combat, the action economy is what initially sold me on this system. It was very much more video gamey, which from my past I have a lot of experience with and I really enjoy. I guess the big overarching selling point would be sheer customizability. The amount of ways to mix and match, like the fact that you get like specific feats.
That's
from
a
your
scary
ancestry.
idea though, for some people.
Well, what's nice about
they're
Pathfinder,
like, oh, it's going to be a crunchy game. It's going to be impossible to play, and it's going to be so broken.
But what's great about Pathfinder 2nd Edition is it's displayed, albeit scattered horribly throughout the rulebook. But what you need is very simple. You know, you look at fighters. You go, okay, first level, I get stuff from my ancestry, stuff from my background. I get these two things, which is attack of opportunity and shield block. I've read those, know what those do, and I get a fighter feat. I scroll down and I pick one of these 7 feats.
Yep.
That's it. That's the character. Aside from stats and stuff, like it's as complex or simple as you want to make it. If you just want to be a fighter with a shield who takes the snap shield feat, that's fine. But if you'd rather, you know, take sudden charge if you plan to move around the battlefield more, or if you want to take some of the more fancy ones like exacting strike, which is a little harder to use, a little more complicated, and you can mix and match these however you want. Like the fighter is a great example of this, where I don't know if you've noticed, as fighters level up in feats, there's almost trees to go down. Like there's shield feats and two-handed feats.
Like certain things lend themselves to the other things.
Exactly.
But you don't have to go that route.
Exactly. So if you want to be a simple shield fighter, cool. Go through, just take the shield feats. It's as simple as you want to make it. But if you want to be a fighter who starts off with a bow in hand, and when things get close, drops the bow and pulls out dual swords, then you can take, double shot, and then you can take the one that lets you attack both enemies as long as they're flanking you.
Yeah.
And you can
I love that one. That was like
such a cool freaking feat.
I was like, oh, if you're being flanked, you can like attack both of them. That's cool.
Right. And that's why I think it would work really cool on an archer, because the enemies might see the guy with the bow and go, he's the weak one. And then you just drop it as a free action, spend one action to draw, and then just boom.
And so speaking of the 3 action economy, I love the fact that like, okay, everybody can do 3 attacks. Right?
Yes,
in a round.
Even at level 1.
But it's penalized. So it's no penalty, 5 and 10, right? I think that's original.
Yeah, it's minus 0, minus 5, minus 10. And it doesn't go above minus 10. And
then, depending, like Rangers get the best benefit there at like low levels where it's like, 4 and 6?
It's if the weapon you're holding is agile, it's minus 4, minus 8.
Minus 4, minus 8.
I believe...
And it gets better.
I think Rangers do have 2-weapon fighting, which reduces it again to minus 3, minus 6.
Yeah, like so
something like that.
Which is awesome because Rangers are actually useful in this game. They're also not based on magic. However, the new advanced book or one of the new books coming out or that came out,
APG. Are you talking about the Arcane Archer?
Is gonna have magic for Rangers.
Yes,
like an archetype.
Yeah, I think the Arcane Archer especially.
Yeah.
I love a good Arcane Archer.
But they did the Ranger right in the core book. Like for me,
I love a martial ranger, a non-spellcasting ranger, and I love that it's different from the fighter. a fighter with bow feats is completely different from a ranger.
Yes.
A fighter, like the ranger, I love the ranger's focus on single target damage with the precision damage and the hunt prey and all of that is so cool. They pick a target, they hammer into it until it dies, and they pick a new target and they rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
And it's so cool.
It's so good.
Feats like crossbow ace if you want to really specialize.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
There's so many cool things. So we got a couple questions.
Yes.
Number one, Joker asked, were you into MMOs?
Especially when I was younger, yeah. I lately
you still are young.
I mean, I'm 25. My prime time is. But no, like, especially when I was like 15 to like 21, I played a lot of World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
of course. I played Terra online for a time.
Okay.
There was one more that I can't remember the name of, but yeah, I played a lot of MMOs. Especially once after I turned 21, a lot of me and my friends, we graduated college.
Yeah.
We've all sort of started playing more confined co-op games, like 1 to 4 player stuff.
Yeah.
Just because, I don't know, MMOs, I've always felt awkward reaching out to random people.
So you just play solo usually.
Right, exactly. Like a lot of World of Warcraft, especially, I would just level up solo, and you'd do a dungeon and nobody would talk to each other. It was really awkward. So we preferred to just do it just with the 4 of us. So we play like Monster Hunter is a huge one. I don't consider it an MMO, but that's how many hundreds of hours have I poured into it. But yeah, I enjoy an MMO. I usually go back to WoW for a few months every year or two after a new expansion.
Another question from Chance's Guide to Pathfinder 2e.
Yep.
This is a little more for my curiosity, but how were you able to grow your channel so quickly? 0 to 600 in a couple months. Like you started your channel 2 months ago.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's super impressive. And you only got like 26 videos. So yeah, what do you got for that one?
So a lot of it is learned. Like I haven't, it's not like I just decided, I'm going to make videos and then I just blew up. This is the culmination of 9 years of failure and figuring things out and learning. Learning is huge. Like I said, I did YouTube videos when I was a teenager in college, and then I switched over to streaming for 2.5 years. And then I switched over to this content. And what I really learned while streaming is it's all about finding a niche. You have to find where you fit in that nobody else is doing. So I looked, okay.
Or you have to be better than everybody else.
Or you have to be better than everyone else, which is a lot harder.
Right.
And so I looked specifically, I had just discovered Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and I watch a lot of D&D YouTubers, Taking 20, XP to level 3. I really watch a lot of that. And I'm like, nobody is really making a lot of Pathfinder content. So I looked around, and there were little things here and there. And specifically, I looked at Basics for Gamers, and I noticed he's making some Pathfinder 2e content.
Yes.
He's covering like really obscure stuff, perception, stealth, dying.
Yeah.
I'm like, nobody here is covering core rules. And so I said, screw it. I'm going to do a how to make a character guide. And I'm like, nobody is there. There's no short videos. That's especially where I found my niche is I looked up Pathfinder 2e character creation, and there was like Taking 20's like 20-minute long video where he just sort of talks about it. And Game Gorgon did like a 50-minute long video.
Yeah, there's a long.
And I especially noticed none of them show the rules, show the sheet, show you how to do it. And I'm like, that's it. That's where I'm going to fit in. And I did it. I did the highlighting of the character sheet. I really put a lot of effort into the editing while keeping the videos short.
Yeah, we talked about that before the stream. So tell the audience, because I don't think people realize how much time goes into making a video. Like your videos, you look at it and you're like, oh, that looks so easy. I could do that, because you make it look so flawless.
Well, you can. Anybody can. It just takes a lot of practice. It's a skill, It's like learning a sport. Yes. So the process of a video, from deciding what to do to writing the script to recording the script to editing the audio to putting it in into Hit Film Editor, which is what I use to edit videos, and then editing on top of all of that, and then making a thumbnail, and then tagging, description, all of that. Roughly an 8 to 10 hour process per video.
Yes.
And so it's a lot of work. It ends up being a 15-minute video takes about 8 hours to do. It ends up being roughly 30 minutes of work per minute long the video is.
Yes.
And it's a lot. But I mean,
it's why my videos aren't better.
Don't say that.
I get frustrated at half that amount of time. I'm like, so like
it's a lot. Like,
yeah, for me, so I'm lazy. I'm just gonna be honest. I am lazy as hell.
I feel that. No, like there are days where I'm like,
That's me like 99% of the time. So like I will have a video idea. I might script it or at least just put my ideas down. I work better off of bullet points anyway. So then I'll record it one time through, sometimes twice if I really hated how I was doing it. And then I will edit it, but I don't spend the time to remove ums. I don't spend time to like fix lighting or audio issues. Like I'll just cut out the crap and then that's about it. Like, but I use most of my stuff. And then, so I will edit a video in like an hour and a half. It might be a 10-minute video and it'll take me an hour and a half to edit. And I spent like 30 to 45 minutes probably recording it. That's where I'm at. Like, it's super lazy. It's something that my wife is like, I know you want to do this like full time, but you've got to put a lot more time into it. And I'm like, I know. Just lack patience sometimes. I get frustrated, but
it's
starting
hard.
to
It takes a lot of discipline. Like, there are days where I force myself to, and there are days I feel really bad. Like I was supposed to get my monk guide out last week, but I just couldn't get myself to work efficiently. I get distracted or I just get dejected and I stop working. And it's such a mental barrier.
Yes.
It never really goes away. You just got to fight against it.
So the answer on how we got 600 was quality first and foremost,
as well as there's a little more to it.
There is.
Some people definitely frown upon this. I'm not even necessarily proud, but it's worked out is shameless self-promotion. Like, honestly, I took a shot. I'm like, people might put me on blast for this. People might hate it. But I made that first character creation video and I dumped it in the Pathfinder Reddit, the Pathfinder Society Reddit, and the Pathfinder 2e Reddit. And I'm like, people are going to hate this. People are going to be like, stop shamelessly self-promoting. But it was.
You probably got so many thumbs down or dislikes on Reddit.
That was the shocker.
Reddit is so cruel.
Dude, but the Pathfinder community is so chill. Let me see if I can find that original post, because that's what shocked me. If I've
never had a good experience on Reddit ever.
Yeah, no, but like, and so I definitely, I don't post more than one a week. I
post other stuff or comment on other people's stuff.
I try to, yeah. I sometimes forget Reddit exists because I've never been much of a Reddit user. I never use Reddit. But yeah, my original video on Reddit, 204 thumbs up.
Nice.
And which blew me away. Like, I think I hit.
Yeah, your first video has over 3,000 views. Nobody does that with their first video.
Insane to me.
Yeah.
But like, I want to say because of that video, and again, it's because nobody had made a clear, concise, short character creation tutorial. It filled a void that people needed. And I think I hit like 100 subscribers in like a week.
Nice.
I know the video with no traction on a new channel I made that day. That video got over 100 views in a day. And they were all from Reddit. I'll be honest, I didn't start getting natural organic YouTube vieys until my 6th or 7th video. And it almost felt like cheating.
Which, by the way, you still only have been doing this for 2 months. like that's huge. Like your first 2 months, you're getting natural organic views. It's like you're being put out there for people.
Yeah, no, I look at my channel stats and I look at things like impressions and views and everything. And honestly, coming from a place of streaming, because I streamed on a smaller platform where we didn't have analytics, so I didn't have audience charts, I didn't have viewership, impressions, click-through rate, any of that. Now that I have that, I realize what I was missing, and I'm just throwing everything I have into this because this is what I want to do for a living. I love content creation.
Yes.
And that's the hard part right now. It's not paying the bills right now. But I'm working off my savings and I'm just throwing my face at the wall. And luckily it's sticking for now. And even on top of everything I've said, it's social media management. I make a point to, not to overload them, probably 2 or 3 times a week. I'll tag Paizo in a post or I'll comment on theirs. I'm trying to reach out to more people, which I mean, Master here. You go by Master or Juice?
Call me Juice.
Juice. Juice reached out to me, and I love it. I'm so happy. I have other collabs working in the future. I just recently did a partnership with the Book of Delving Kickstarter for Pathfinder, and so
I saw that.
A lot of it. It's a really cool thing, dude.
It's like a character sheet thing, right?
Yeah.
I think I had seen the ad somewhere, and then I saw your video. I was like, oh, it looks kind of cool.
Yeah, I have the prototype. There's already a 5th edition one for sale, and the prototype is awesome. It's effectively a character journal.
How much are they going to charge for those?
$20.
$20 each?
$20. Yep. I think it's like a discount if you get more than one. So I think you can get like 2 for 30 or something.
See, so it's cool. I could never spend $20 or something like that because I know I'm going to start a campaign. I'll play 3 sessions and never play in that campaign again.
Exactly. You know what this is for? This is for people who play Pathfinder Society, who jump from table to table with the same character. But it's so good, dude. Just like the way everything's laid out is so nice and clean. Next to skills, you can see like all the actions associated with those skills, so you don't even have to go looking for them.
Right.
It's so...
I wonder, do you know if they've talked to Paizo about being able to do that? Because it kind of puts the rules in there for you, easily accessible.
It doesn't put all the rules in there for you. It mostly...
Because it has like a cheat sheet and stuff like that.
It has cheat sheets, yeah.
Yep.
But it's not really the rule book. It's the bare minimum. Think of it like a GM's guide worth of information in the notebook, and the rest is space to write down. Like there's space to write down feats and spells, like verbatim descriptions.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Also, so Chance says he aims for market dominance and aimed for search results. For example, Pathfinder 2e Ancestry. It sounds like.
That is definitely a part of it. I have a friend who knows his way around YouTube who helped me guide my tags. Yeah. And you don't necessarily want to look for market dominance. You want to look for a balance between how much of something people are searching and how much is already competition.
Yep.
And so I noticed that like Pathfinder 2e character creation was not that heavy competition. It was taking 20, game Gorgon, and I think Q times, and that was it.
If you watch like I think it's Think Media and things like that, they'll tell you it's more important to be like one of the top 2 or 3 for the search term than it is to be like 20 down on a word that's searched a million times.
Yeah,
so you want to be the top of search terms if you want to grow on YouTube. I don't spend any time
even
on
I don't
that stuff either.
fully understand ESO, but it's super important in today's YouTube. Today's YouTube is
I understand it again. I'm just too lazy to go through another website, type in the word, see what the competition.
It's so tough, man. And there's so freaking much to it. I look at my analytics every day and I just stress about it.
That's funny. I've talked to some really big content creators on YouTube. I'm obviously friends with a bunch of them. And they've been like, yeah, this is what I do, and I go here and then I type in the word I'm thinking, and then it gives me the other terms that are like it, and I can compare it to the competition. I'm like, but that's like 10 minutes I don't want to spend.
No, it's hard, but it's all every 10 minutes you spend is believe me, it's rough. I've had days where I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to do this today.
Right.
I've had like most of my videos I'm very proud of. I feel like 1 or 2 of them I've rushed out, which I'm not too happy with. But for the most part, I make sure they get the love. And I'm forcing myself to like, especially like I could have technically made the monk guide in 1 day last week, but I want to give it the time and effort it deserves, because a rushed video is bad forever, but a delayed video is eventually good.
Who says that? That's a quote from
I think that's Miyamoto, Shigeru Miyamoto of Nintendo, saying a rushed game.
Yes.
Yeah, a rushed game is forever bad. A delayed game is eventually good.
Yes, that's truth right there.
That's true for anything.
My channel has seen 3 rebrandings. This is the 3rd rebranding. It used to be called Juce734. That was just my YouTube channel, and that was because I was using my PlayStation username back in 2012.
Yeah.
And then the idea then was just that, hey, I'm making videos that I want to make, because the way the community was set up is you could do video responses to each other.
I miss video responses, man.
We all do. All of us that have been around for 10 years. But yeah, so it was just for social interaction with other RPGers. That's it. It wasn't about like having subs or any of that. Right. And so then it was like, all right, and I like wrestling too. So my channel tagline was Wrestling with RPGs. Like a little play on words.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I liked it too. But then I was like, I need to have dedicated content at some point.
That's honestly, that's been a thing for YouTube for the past decade, is if you are too spread out, it's not going to push any of your content.
Right.
Because I think it looks at it, and like, even if you have a sizable
it doesn't know what your channel's about.
Right. And like, if half of your audience watches some videos and half of it watches the other videos, you're only getting the viewership half of what you should be. And thus, hello, girlfriend. You're only getting like half the viewership you should be.
Right. Like 2014. So again, it was still, I think, Juice734. And I was like, I was talking to my friend Dave from Nerdarchy, and he's like, yeah, Juice734 doesn't mean anything. You need a name that like says something.
People need to know what you're
looking
at.
So I changed it to Tabletop Gaming with Juice.
Okay.
And so that was my second brand. that I redid it to. And then around Gen Con 50, because I was so dissatisfied with old content, I was like, I need to like hide all the old videos. In fact, I started a new channel and like was trying to get people to switch over and it wasn't working out.
That's
I was like,
rough.
I was like, this is stupid. So I got rid of the new channel and then I went back to the old one and I just said, I'm just going to change the logo. I'm going to redo it all and just start doing new content. And so that's where Master the Game came from.
Yeah, and sometimes that's what you have to do. From what I've heard, because nobody knows how the YouTube algorithm works at its core, but from what I've heard, even privated old videos on the same channel can still affect whether YouTube pushes your content or not. Which is why I started a completely new channel. I had the Game Boyer 721 YouTube channel for years. I've had that since I was a teenager. And stuff was privated. But yeah, I feel like I made a good call starting over completely. The rebranding has paid off. Yeah, I'm not quite back up to where I was as a streamer. As a streamer, I had about 2,400 followers.
I used to get, so in 2015, I had like 400,000 minutes of watch time.
Wow.
Which was awesome. But then like I didn't do as many videos at the end of 2015 and 16 and 17. Didn't really do any videos for a couple years. And then last year, we moved into this house. I redid this room. This was an unfinished room. So I finished it, put up drywall and everything. And around fall, I started doing videos again. It took me almost 8 months until I started seeing the same view counts that I saw back 4 years ago.
YouTube will shut you down if you, and that's why that's one of
it's starting to look good again though. Like I'm starting to get organic growth again. It's just taken a long time.
It's the organic growth. It's the hardest to get. That's what I've been told is once you have it, as long as you can keep it, you're fine. It's just that keeping it, and like if you step away for 2 weeks, YouTube will have a fit and it'll stop pushing you. And sometimes
it's in relation, I think, to how long you've been doing content. Because I feel like I could literally not put anything out for 2 weeks, and you used to be able to see even a year ago, you would see that you'd see a dip, but then you'd get like a couple days where it would spike almost to get your attention, and then it would dip again. So that it was this weird thing you used to see if you stopped doing videos. I don't know if it still does that. But it
right now I
used to do that.
It's a lot of consistency right now. Like I'm looking at my actual graph of like my impressions, which for those of you who don't know is just whenever your video pops up in someone's subscription feed, recommended, sidebar, that is an impression. If someone could have seen your thumbnail, that's an impression. And like there's a typical like dip in the middle of each week. Because I upload Sunday through Tuesday and then Wednesday through Saturday there's no video, so that's a natural dip. But 1 week I tried something different. Me and my friend were playing Neverwinter Nights, good old classic like 2002 RPG. I uploaded that, got like no views. Like fair enough. Like it was not Pathfinder, it was not TTRPG, it was a video game. It's not what my viewers wanted. The next like 2 videos I uploaded had very low impressions as well. Luckily, they still did okay from my subscribers. It was what they were interested in again. But because of that one bad video, my next video or 2 was not pushed as hard, and that dip stayed. And those other 2 videos were almost like having to climb back out of the dip that one bad video did. So it's rough, and that's what's scary about trying to branch out into other content.
You're good. Right now you're known as a Pathfinder guy.
Exactly.
So like if you do Call of Cthulhu next month, it might do well, it might not.
I feel like tabletop RPGs are safe among tabletop RPGs. I've never met somebody who's like, I just want to play D&D.
So honestly, there's a reason I think, for example, Cody from Taken 20 probably doesn't do Pathfinder videos. I have a feeling
he does occasionally though.
Yes, but 5e videos do far better for him.
Oh yeah, because people know D&D 100%.
Right. So if he does a Pathfinder video and it dips, doesn't do as well as the others, does that impact his other stuff? Does it? Because he's doing it as a business. That's his full-time job.
100. And that's a big thing. Even at my size, you treat it like a business. That's one thing I learned while streaming is you treat it like a job that doesn't pay you. You know what I mean? Like
I've started tracking my expenses. Like if I buy a new game, I'm starting to do that a lot. If I get paid out, so cheap merch plug. I have a merchandise store now. You can buy like my logo on a shirt. I'm going to be releasing like just general RPG stuff over there, but that's something that I'm going to factor into my my thing like every month. So there's going to be that. There's my Patreon. There's if somebody sends me a gift, I'm taking that into account. Like pretty much anything like that comes in or out that's RPG related or related to my YouTube or computers or my game room, it's all going to count as an expense or an income.
That's what I did with my streaming. Because I was getting paid monthly when I was a streamer and living off of that. And so luckily I got a 1099 in the mail that was just like, we paid you this month. And I'm like, oh, good. But yeah, and then deducting anything I use.
And if it's too small of an income, you don't have to claim it as income.
Yeah, it's under 600.
Yeah, which for people starting out, that's most people.
For starting out, 100%. Yeah.
The first year, that's probably what you're going to see.
Right, yeah.
Like I make, off of AdSense, I make like anywhere between like 50 cents to $1 a day off of Google AdSense, which is less than most people. But at the same time, you don't get rich off of AdSense money.
No, the money in YouTube is not in AdSense whatsoever.
Right. So, but Patreon's awesome. Twitch was cool for a minute. I was making a little bit on Twitch. I'm not using Twitch now. I'm using just YouTube at the moment. But in fact, October, I'm planning on doing a charity stream. It's going to be like a 9 or a 12-hour thing, 3 games, hopefully a couple like seminar things or interviews or something. And I'm going to raise money for a charity that I still need to reach out to. But that will be on Twitch, just because platform will be easier for that. I don't then have to send new links.
Right. Yeah. And it seems like even if people prefer YouTube for videos, they still prefer Twitch for streaming. It seems like people do not use YouTube for streaming that much right now.
Yeah.
Strange. There are exceptions. Like I know people who have a huge following on YouTube, and when they stream on Twitch, they get like 20 to 30 viewers, but on YouTube, they get like 500 to 600. It's weird.
Well, and that's because they have a bigger audience on YouTube.
Right.
Because Twitch doesn't have organic growth. Like you have to
really does. Growth as a streamer is a weird beast, man.
Yeah.
Because you can really
Speaking of streaming, we're being raided by the DM Lair right now.
What? You serious?
So he posts the link in his chat when he finishes his streams, and then some of the people come over. He usually has like 200 people on his channel. It's really cool. It's awesome. His chats are great. He does them like 3 times a week, a couple of them over on Twitch, and then
that's so nice. I love raiding, dude. It's so fun. Hello from the DM Lair.
YouTube needs to incorporate it into their system though.
That would be really cool if you could like hit a button and do it. That'd be really, really neat.
Yeah, just plug in the link and it just sends you people over.
Oh,
it'd be so much better. DM Lair's awesome channel. Obviously, he's a player in my Descent game. We play next a week from tomorrow. We play Descent into Avernus. We're still in. We're still in the first chapter. We're almost at the end of it. But we've been playing since October.
Nice. My 3.5 campaign actually takes place in Avernus. It's completely homebrewed, and he's actually it takes place in the city of Dis. I don't know if you're familiar. It's just run by Dis, who's one of the lords of the Nine Hills. But he's completely like modernized the city, so it's lawful evil. So they're all evil, but it still has like a code and laws, and it functions like a normal city, but it's just full of devils. So there's like a casino and a brothel and a bazaar where you can go and buy stuff, and it's really, really fun.
Hey, Penguin Butt. Penguin Butt is an admin, I think, over there or a moderator for DMLA. Barking Cricket. Juice, do you ever sleep? No, dude. I just stream as often as I can because it's fun. And I get to meet cool ass people like my friend right here from NoNat1. So you need to go subscribe.
Do I plan on taking on other TTRPGs? Potentially at some point. That is the plan, yeah. I love Pathfinder. It's easily my favorite system right now. I feel like my strategy will be to dip into other RPG systems to hopefully convert more people into second edition. Because that's the big thing is second edition just doesn't have a massive following right now.
Right. It's interesting because it is so again, we were talking about this. 5e, so right now I say 5e is my favorite system. But I do think Pathfinder second edition is becoming my favorite. Like it's as a player. Play it first. I'm going to play it tomorrow for the first time. But as a player, I think because I love the customization and things like that.
Right.
I feel like I've done everything I've wanted to with 5e except play a mountain dwarf wizard. Heavy armored wizard is my goal. That's the only thing I have not played in 5e that I really want to play.
Right. Yeah. Whereas I feel like you could play 200 campaigns of Pathfinder and still find something new to play in the core rulebook alone.
Yes. You can play the exact. Well, I'm going to call it a race for all you 5e fans. You can play the exact race, exact class, and it'll always like you can make it completely different.
Oh yeah, like I mean, just in the thief. Yeah, just in the thief, you could play a scoundrel for the charisma base, the thief, the ruffian. You can take different archetypes, so you can be, more of a spellblade, or like
the different feats to change like how they work or what your focus is.
It's
Like,
so cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Character creation, 2e wins outright because it's just fun
100%.
to theorize.
I agree. I 100% agree. So Joker says you take 5e over Palladium, Juice. I've taken 5e over Palladium for like 5 years. Like ever since like 2015. I feel
I should probably like
right
the stream, huh? There we go.
There you go. Yeah, like the stream, guys. If you're new here, hit subscribe. We'd love to have you around for more of our streams.
Come on, there's 24 of you in here. We can bump that up to a 20 likes. Let's go, guys. I know how to sell out.
So I do use likes in my streamed games now to get loot for my players. So for example, my Descent game, I had a couple tiers, and if people go back to the last game, they can help the players out. So 50 gets them like a loot of a bunch of potions and stuff.
Okay, nice.
100 gets them a bag of holding. If I get 100 likes on that previous game video.
Okay,
and
nice.
If I get 200, they're gonna get something really powerful, like might even call it a Vorpal sword, but it's temporary. It's like I don't know how temporary, but it might be like, you
maybe
find a charm
uses.
necklace that if you snap it, it turns into a Vorpal sword for 10 minutes.
That's really cool.
So I'm gonna do that.
Nice.
We hit 50. It was the first time. So go ahead.
Nice. Tycho, are you asking me or Juice here about top 5 RPGs?
You go first.
Are we talking about RPG systems or RPG video games? I'm guessing systems.
Systems. Yeah.
Okay.
Tabletop.
So top 5 systems. Right now, Pathfinder 2nd Edition is at my top.
Mm-hmm.
I've played a very limited amount. I think I'd put 3.5 in second place.
Interesting.
Third place would probably be... I'm going to give it to 5th edition just for the sheer accessibility for new players, and that wins a lot of points in my book.
Yeah.
Because I like when people, new people get into RPGs. That's what I'm really all about. For my 4th and 5th, I think I'll put Shadowrun in 4th. I've played like 4 or 5 systems of it, but it really is. You know what? No. Shadowrun 5th, Call of Cthulhu 4th.
Nice.
And Call of Cthulhu and 5th edition are very close. That 3rd and 4th place are very close. But I'm pretty confident in my Pathfinder 2nd edition, followed by 3.5.
So this is really hard for me.
Yeah, I'm actually going to let you do that because I have had to pee for an hour, and I
don't
want to have to end the stream. So you go ahead and tell them about yours.
Do your bio break. So for me, this is really hard. First of all, SR2 Joker says, Kevin is going to send me a strongly worded letter. So Kevin and I met a few years ago at Grand Con. And when we met, we were talking, and he was like, oh, yeah, you have a YouTube channel. Cool. And like he was like, yeah, here's my business card. Send me an email. We'll work with you on some stuff. And I want to do these things, and I've got some great ideas. And he told me like all these cool things he was thinking about for Palladium. By the way, none of those things have happened yet with Palladium. I emailed him a few times. He never responded. So whatever. Kevin's not a fan. I don't know. Kevin Sambita, the owner of Palladium Bucks. If you guys are new to my channel, you'll know that you don't know this, but I grew up on Palladium books. That was my first RPG. So my top 5 right now, I have to put 5e as my number 1. Second one, this is tough. I might have to put Fantasy Flight Games Star Wars up there. I just think that system is really good. Maybe that's number 2. Maybe that's number 3. I will think. I might put Pathfinder 2nd Edition in my top 3 right now. I might, because I think my ideal system is somewhere between 5e and Pathfinder 2nd Edition, to be honest. So yeah, those are probably my top 3. For number 4, I do like Call of Cthulhu, the Chaosium 7th Edition. I don't own it, but I played it. I like it. I'm inspired now to play one-shots in that. So I think Call of Cthulhu is number 4. Mm-hmm. And then number 5, and I've only played like maybe 15 systems. Number 5 might be, this is one I haven't played, might be Fantasy Age. If it has to be a game I've played, then I'll go Palladium. Heroes Unlimited, though.
If we can put stuff on that we haven't played before, I think Dragon Age might overtake Shadowrun for 5th place. Dragon Age looks so cool, man.
Doesn't it? So that's the Fantasy Age system. It's
it's the same. Oh, okay.
Same system.
Nice.
There's 2 attribute differences.
Okay.
From that to Fantasy Age. So Green Ronin made Dragon Age. They did it in those box sets, and then they did the core book. But then they changed it they made their own system of it called Fantasy Age. It's a very generic version of it. Not really any setting information.
Okay, so yeah, more of a
but
more
it's
of a
still
GURPS style.
3d6. Yeah, it's still 3d6. One of them is a dragon.
This will have the stunt system.
Yep, 100%.
Nice.
Exact same
That's what
system.
I love.
You don't have like Grey Warden rules or anything like that. But
that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
So that's kind of where I stand. So I said that I chose 5e number 1. I'd probably put Pathfinder Second Edition at 2 or 3. The other one I would put there, I think I said Fantasy Flight Game Star Wars, which I told you about with the narrative dice.
Yeah.
And then number 4 was Call of Cthulhu, and number 5 is probably Dragon Age or Palladium Books.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid.
So that's where I'm at. No ponies, not even in top 5. Nope. I'm not a brony.
That MLP RPG, man. Is there? I would not be surprised if there was one. Apparently, yeah. There. Oh, all right. That doesn't surprise me.
It's a Pathfinder conversion, I think, from the first edition. I think so.
Interesting. One thing I'm so interested in trying. I have no idea if it's good or not, but there is a Borderlands role-playing game.
Really?
And recently, have you ever played the Borderlands games?
I played Borderlands 2, I think.
Okay, yeah.
It was originally for Xbox, and then I had a friend who like brought me in on it somehow on Xbox One, and so I played it like with them a couple times.
It's a great co-op game.
Yeah,
I would be so interested in a border because that world is so crazy, zany, over the top, psychotic.
Yeah.
I think it would make for a really fun like short campaign.
So, what is your favorite video game of all time?
Oh, you're gonna make me pick?
Yep, just pick
off
3 then.
Off the top of my head, Monster Hunter. Freedom Unite. Right. Monster Hunter Freedom Unite probably is in my top 5, no doubt. Just because sheer nostalgia. It was one of the first Monster Hunters that me and my friend got together like 7 years ago. We got these PSP emulators to work online with each other. So a game that's supposed to be only local play, we were able to play online, and we just no-lifed that for the longest time.
Yeah.
The hard part for me is I jump from game to game constantly. I think my favorite game for nostalgia alone would be Super Mario 64.
Okay.
I've played it so much. I did speed runs for the game. I can beat the whole game with 70 stars in, I think it was 1 hour and 14 minutes was my record.
Wow.
And I don't know. Speed running is something I dabble in. I have a lot of fun speed running. But yeah, I've always loved platformers. Monster Hunter is a ton of fun. JRPGs, Final Fantasy X holds a huge place in my heart. I've played through that game 3 separate times. It's so good. But yeah, those are probably the 3 I would pick. Probably Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, Final Fantasy X, and Super Mario 64. 3 totally different genres.
So my absolute favorite video game. So, well, okay, there's a couple. So I'm a sports guy. I play sports games.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah. I'm a big sports guy. But my number 1 video game of all time is Final Fantasy VII for nostalgic reasons. I'm actually playing through it again right now. I'm really enjoying it still. But I'm like, I can see why some people don't love it, but at the same time, I'm still nostalgic for it.
I feel like I can't get far enough in to get into it. I always get to like the Aerith flower scene, and then I save, and I'm like, I'll pick this up later. And when I
first got the game, so growing up, I was a big Zelda fan, like original NES Zelda.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was a game that like my aunt would play while she babysat me, and I never got to play it, so it was always like, oh, I want to play it. Right. So then my mom, when I was about 12 years old, back in '97, when the game was the game, she was like, I guess she was at Funko Land, which is now owned by GameStop. That's what GameStop turned into. She was like, hey, do you guys have any games like Legend of Zelda for PlayStation? And so they were like, we got this, and it's like the most popular game right now. She's like, okay, cool. So I got it for Christmas. I started playing it, and I hated it. Like, it was...
And so wait, that's how they described Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah.
It was kind of like
it's an
Zelda?
RPG. Yeah. So it was an RPG that, and they didn't, I mean, it was my mom too, so she didn't have to buy or whatever. But yeah, so she got that for me. And when I got it, I hated it because it's not open world to start. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very
confined, very linear.
Yes. The very first part of the game is linear, and it takes, I mean, especially when you're 12 and not the best at video games, it takes like a few days to get out of the linear part of the game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so like I was like, I don't like this game very much. So I set it aside. And then summer rolled around and I needed something to pass the time. And I started playing it again, and I loved it. I beat the game so many times that summer, became obsessed with that game when I was 12. So yeah.
Nice.
So that's my favorite of all time. However, like if you include sports games and stuff, NHL 95 was one of my favorites. I used to have a monitor, like a computer monitor that I used to put on the porch, and we would run a cord from just inside the door, and I'd play video games with the neighborhood kids on my porch.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so we played like NHL 95. A couple years later, we played Game Day 98, which is a football game on PlayStation.
Nice.
We used to play old Atari. I had the best of Atari hits or something. So we used to play Atari games for PlayStation on there. Like,
too cool.
It was great. I have so many good memories.
Yeah,
but those are like my top 2 ever.
Yeah, that's a similar thing with Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter Tri on the Wii was the first, probably one of my first like online experiences. Probably not one of my first, but it's one of the earliest I remember. And me and my friend both owned it. And in fact, this is before we knew like what Discord was. We wouldn't use Skype or anything. We would both take, because we were like 12. Yeah. So we would take our mom's cell phones, put them on speakerphone, and then play online with each other. Because the Wii didn't have, I think it had like the Wii Speak thing, but nobody owned that. Right. And the funniest thing I remember is he came over to my house, and the game does not have local co-op, only online co-op.
That's so weird.
So we had him bring over his Wii. And my parents, I came from a Richie Rich family. They had a nice big flat screen with a split screen feature. So we plugged both Wiis into different HDMIs. Yeah. Oh, no. Sorry. Composite, because it was the Wii. Yeah, two different composites, split the screen down the middle, pulled up both of them, went online with both of them, crazy. And then connected back to each other. And this was up in Maine. So the internet stability is not great. And right near the end of a really tough hunt, I know the internet just cut out because it couldn't handle two Wiis online at the same time.
I remember you used to have, like, if you wanted to play more than 2 people on, like, PlayStation, you had to buy this extra thing that plugged into your system. And it was
Did you ever play Champions of Norath?
I did not. No.
Oh, man. I think that game would be right up your alley. It was for PS2, and with the multi-tap, you could play with up to 4 players. Did you ever play, like, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance?
So I have Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 right now, like, for Xbox One. And it's got like all the extra stuff like for 1 and 2. Yeah. Which I think Dark Alliance might even be one of them.
Dark Alliance was a different game than Baldur's Gate. It was only on console. It was never on computer. Gotcha. And it was still top down, but it wasn't like pause and issue orders. Everyone controlled one character, but it was like local co-op. So it was top down isometric, and you would run around and like manually attack and stuff.
What system was it for?
Hack and stuff. I think it was for PlayStation 2 and GameCube.
Gotcha. I have an emulator with like 4,000 games for Nintendo, Genesis, Super NES.
I would recommend looking up Dark Alliance. It's so fun. Like you can pick one of 3 characters, and it's literally just Elven Mage, Human Ranger, or Dwarf Fighter. And you, as you level up, you have like skill points you put in to get new abilities. Right. You get new equipment throughout the whole game. Think like Diablo meets Baldur's Gate.
I'm cool with that.
It's really, really good.
So I tried getting into Diablo. I could not.
Diablo 3 is the only one I've really gotten into. It's you have to grind. I binged the entire series of The Office while I played Diablo.
Gotcha.
That is how I got through it. I will forever link the two in my mind because that's when I watched The Office was while I played Diablo. Yep.
Did anyone here play Legend of Dragoon? I feel like I played that.
One of my old mods on my streams has been telling me for 2 years to play that game because this is apparently one of the best turn-based JRPGs out there, and I still need to play it.
So I really liked, what is it, Dragon Warrior? I think the first one. You got slimes, like blue.
Slimes, Dragon on the NES.
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
Game. And so it's on my emulator, and I replayed it recently. I haven't beat it yet. I stopped, but I was close to beating it. I need to level grind a little bit so I can then beat the final boss.
It's funny that you're saying this game because like you're saying that Diablo is too routine, but that one is literally run around, kill slimes, buy better gear.
Yeah, exactly. I know, right? It's nostalgic for me because I had it as a kid.
Yeah, nostalgia's powerful now.
So I need to beat that, but I never played the second one, or like they still make games for that. Like it's
I just got
never played any of the others.
Yeah, I got like 6 months ago. Dragon Quest 11 is incredible. It's so good. It's honestly, they've somehow kept the same feeling as the NES game. In fact, they went above and beyond. And if you buy the enhanced edition, which I think is the only edition available now, you can play the entire game in 16-bit graphics. They remapped the entire game. The same battle system where you don't see your character, you just see sprites of the enemy and text.
Oh, nice.
They remade the entire game. You can play like that.
Diablo is a hack and slash game. Yeah, I think that's why I don't like it.
Yeah.
It was really cartoony and like I only played it once. I remember like you're going through like a graveyard. I don't remember.
That was Diablo 3, I think you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started there and I'm like,
right. It's very.
I might even still have it in there. Like, because I think I borrowed it.
Again, it's a fun, mindless grind. You run around, you hold down left click, you get loot. Eventually, something shiny drops, and you're like, "That's mine. That's an upgrade." And you get that tiny little dopamine boost of my stats went up. Right. And then once you finish the main game, it's just run through randomly generated dungeons over and over and over again, getting slightly stronger.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't it one of like that was a big deal that all the dungeons were randomly generated?
Yes, yeah. Like the entire game, except for the overworld, is randomly generated, which is fun for repeat playthroughs. If I were to play it again, I'd only play it co-op. I think I couldn't play through it solo again. Diablo 4 is coming out though, so maybe that'll be good. I've heard Diablo 2.
Baldur's Gate is coming out, and it looks amazing.
Baldur's Gate 3. Oh my god!
And it's based on 5e rules.
Yeah, and it's using something similar to the Divinity Original Sin 2 engine.
Yeah, and you're playing. No, I have not. But you have a mind flayer.
That's like the whole thing is your character has like a mind flayer slug in the brain. That's
so you can use superpowers and like not superpowers, but mind powers.
Yeah.
And the more you do it, the more you become corrupted.
That's so cool.
So it's like you want to use it because it does cool shit, but at the same time, the more you do it, the worse off your character is.
Right. But yeah, the devs of Baldur's Gate 3, they made Divinity Original Sin and Divinity Original Sin 2. Yep. And those two, Divinity Original Sin 2 might be up there in my top favorite games. Yeah. It is the closest game I have ever played to a tabletop experience. Better than Baldur's Gate, better than Pillars of Eternity, the single closest thing. To the point where you can solve things like a D&D party. Like me and my friend were co-oping, and we hit this locked gate. And the character said something like, "We need to find the key to this gate. It must be around here somewhere." And my friend went, "Hold on, I have an idea." And he just cast teleport and warped me through the door. And we opened the chest, got the stuff, and he warped me back out. We're like, cool. We never found the key. We just thought outside the box. And
it worked.
It works. Yeah. And the game doesn't punish you for that or anything. It encourages it. It's amazing. I think Divinity Original Sin 1 has a better story, but 2 has a better gameplay system.
Gotcha. And it's like a big giant open world, isn't it?
Like
I've heard of people spending like hundreds of hours on this game.
I think we beat it in about 40 to 60. I think if you explore, I feel like we were pretty thorough. I feel like at most you might spend 100 hours on one playthrough, but you'll want to play through it again. There's all these different origin characters, which I love that you can either make your own character who doesn't really have their story, but you can sort of self-insert, or you can play as an origin character who has their own unique side quests throughout the world. It's so good.
So we have a good one here. So Tycho Lehman, which movie or book would you guys like to see as an RPG?
Movie or book? I guess that one, I don't know if I want to see it as an RPG because there's not really special powers. You go first. Let me think about this.
So I've had this talk with a few different guests I've had on before. I've asked this question, and I've heard some good answers. So I know there's systems that can do this, but I feel like a dedicated Matrix movie turned RPG would be cool. Like I know, Shadowrun's kind of like that, and
right?
Like that.
Yeah, but Matrix is much.
I want an exact a dedicated system for it.
Yeah, I think if I had to pick, there might already exist something similar to it. But Redwall. Did you ever read the Redwall books?
I don't read a lot, unfortunately.
I don't either, unfortunately. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I used to deliver pizza.
So did I. Redwall, not the audiobooks thing though.
Redwall it's all anthropomorphic. Not even necessarily anthropomorphic, but they're all animals, specifically critters. Like the main character is a mouse.
Sounds like After the Bomb by Palladium Books a little bit.
I'm not familiar with that.
After the Bomb is like everything is like an animal-based creature. Maybe they're humanoids, some are not.
Yeah,
you can spend.
These are all 100% animal. Like the mice might stand on 2 legs, but that's the only thing human about them. But just like everything in the world, there doesn't appear to be any humans. No humans show up in the books.
Gotcha.
And it's just like if animals could talk, and we're a little more sentient. Like they have a belief. They have churches. They have abbeys and stuff. And it's this very cool low fantasy in that there's not a lot of magic. There's legends and powerful swords and whatnot, and like the big bad guy of the book, who's like sort of kept enshrouded almost the entire book, is a giant snake. Like there's nothing magical aside from the whole like snakes can hypnotize their prey with its eyes, but like that's as magical as it gets. Everything else is like it's just a snake, and it almost plays it off like a dragon in some ways.
Right.
It's so good.
Huh. Some people are throwing out. So Eclipse Phase would probably work for Matrix too. I've created a character in Eclipse Phase, but I did not end up playing. We were gonna play and just didn't get around to doing it. Mouse Guard is suggested for yours.
I've heard that name before.
You're basically a bunch of mice.
Is it okay?
And it's fantasy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a comic book. Does it have an RPG system?
Yeah, it's got an RPG system.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yep. In fact, Reaper Bones even makes mouse miniatures because of it that are like as the different characters. At least that's what someone told me once.
Even the art is actually fairly similar to Redwall.
Nice.
A little more cartoony, but yeah.
Yeah, there's so many things though. Like just trying to think about it. Like, I feel like any 80s action movie could probably be made into an RPG, a role-playing game pretty well.
And that's what Predator systems. Oh man,
that would be cool.
That would make for a good one shot.
Heck yeah.
But I feel like you could even do that in like a D&D or a Pathfinder system. Just create the Predator as an enemy.
Yes. And then just remove some of the powers of the players.
Exactly.
Just some of them. So weaken them up a little.
You could easily use, honestly, you could probably pretty easily use Call of Cthulhu for a Predator.
For sure. I agree. You
can
do a lot with Call of Cthulhu. I was talking about that earlier, that Call of Cthulhu, the reason I'm getting really into it. So I played it once as D20 version. It was a good game, but I wasn't like, oh, this is my kind of game. You know what I mean? It was run by a good DM. Like, everything was cool, but I just did not feel like I liked Call of Cthulhu after that. I was just like, whatever. It's not my system.
Yeah.
I played the percentile version, and we did Reservoir Dogs, basically. Is the gist of it. We were from a heist, and we played it. It was cool. It's on my channel. You guys can all go watch it. It was just like a month ago. And then I'm like, this game lends itself perfectly to one-shots. Like, if you can think of a cinematic kind of story to tell for a one-shot, maybe you want to reenact, I don't know, Ocean's 11. You can do it with damn Call of Cthulhu pretty easily, I feel like.
Let me tell you, my favorite RPG system, I honestly forgot because I almost don't consider it an RPG system, but it's my favorite way to play one-shots, especially with people who don't play RPGs. Have you ever heard of Dread?
Yeah, oh yeah. People talk about it all the time. Especially, we were talking about it in my Discord. I've never played it. I don't know much about it.
Oh my word. I mean, it's something you can only play in person because so do you know the basic premise?
It's been told to me, but I forget. I have a terrible memory.
So it's you and me both, brother. It is a horror.
I forgot your real name already, dude, and I've typed it 7 Brogan Kelley. It's on my screen.
There it is.
But I forget your name, and I'm like, why do I forget it? It's just what I do.
But yeah, so it's a horror-based RPG where everyone normally plays as normal humans. You can do whatever you want. The rules are very loose there. Yeah. And the character creation is actually a questionnaire written up by the GM that the players answer in character. And the questionnaire might be just random things. Did you finish? Did you go to college? Did you graduate high school? What was your last nightmare about? Nice. What was your last favorite food? Stuff like that. And the GM takes that, uses that, and constructs a horror movie effectively around your characters. And all of your characters, for all intents and purposes, have the normal abilities of a normal average human, unless you give them something like a missing leg or something like that. Yeah. And anytime you would try to do something outside of your character's expertise, or that would take marginal effort, like let's say you're trying to hop a 6-foot fence, like that's not easy to do, you would pull from a Jenga tower.
Oh yeah. I do know
set it on top.
Yes, I've seen that.
And if at any time the Jenga tower falls, the character pulling it dies, and the GM, they don't even necessarily die right then. You just know they are going to die.
Yep.
And what you can do as a fellow player, which is just so crazy, is out of turn, if you see it start going down, you can jump out of your seat and shove it down and sacrifice yourself to save the person who would have died.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and like what we happened, it was so sad in one of our campaigns. They all survived way longer than they should have. The Jenga tower was teetering with so many lines of 1 block. And they were running away from this evil force. This was like 3 years ago. I barely remember it, but I remember they were sprinting down the stairs, pitch black stairs. So I'm like, you're sprinting down this pitch black staircase. I'm going to need to have everyone pull. You know, if you're jumping multiple steps at a time.
Oh, you're going to fall.
Everyone's fine. But of course, the last person pulls, knocks the tower over. So of all the ways they could have died, possession, insanity, they just fell down the freaking stairs and broke their neck.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, like we've talked about Dread in my Discord. The one that's come up a lot recently that there's a chance might be run on my channel one time by one of the people there is Monster of the Week. I think it's powered by the Apocalypse system.
Okay.
I don't know a ton about it, but like it's basically like that system is used for a few different things, and a lot of people love it. Like it's a really big thing that I hear talked about a lot. I think they play it on Encounter Roleplay every now and then too. But yeah, Monster of the Week. If anyone in chat knows about it, talk about it.
I've never heard of it.
I don't remember the premise, but it sounds kind of cool.
Cameron, it's a great drunk game, by the way. Dread is fantastic drunk.
And there's not a lot of RPGs that I like playing drunk, so that one definitely sounds like a good one.
There's another one that I can bring up if you'd like afterwards. That's a great drinking game.
There you go. What was it? Oh, I missed something in the chat recently. I don't remember. It's going so fast.
Right? It's bumping in here. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just drop it while we have a pause. Yeah, have you ever heard of Everyone is John?
No, I have not.
Oh, it is such a fun role-playing game. Everybody, except for the DM, is John. An average man living an average life in an average neighborhood. His life is completely average. And every other player plays a voice in his head. They are all given the same amount of poker chips at the beginning of the game. And upon waking up, everyone puts in a certain number of chips and reveals at the same time. Whoever bet the most chips gets to talk to John. And they will be able to very easily influence John to do different things. And at the beginning of the game, everybody writes down an easy, medium, and hard goal for John to accomplish. If they like, an easy goal might be brushing his teeth, and you'll get a point if you can get John to brush his teeth. All the way up to hard, which might be like, I don't know, rob a bank and get away with it, which will be worth like 5 points at the end of the game. Right. And you have control of John, talking to John. You can't necessarily just be like, do this. You have to convince him. And it's a total social game. The GM can be going along with it or make it a little harder. Right. But if at any point John loses consciousness, which happens to be fairly frequently, the players lose control of John and everyone has to re-bet their chips. And the person who won the bet in the first place lost the chips they put in. So you have to try to accomplish your goals before running out of chips. And the game ends instantly if John dies. The game is just over. And whoever has the most points at the end wins. It is so stupid and so fun.
So Joker was saying that for this was the one that caught my attention, but I didn't see it before. So he was mentioning Mothership or Alien would work for Predator. So Alien is for like the old movie, the Sigourney Weaver movies from like the 80s.
Oh, like an RPG system for the movies?
Yeah, and I had asked someone like recently, is the Predator in it since they've done the Alien Predator movies together? And they're like, no. So that might work. I don't know anything about that system though.
Right.
And then Mothership I've never heard of until just now. So I would be interested in hearing more about that as well. But yeah, I like one of my like the hardest parts, because I would love to just play all these different RPGs.
If there was enough time in the day.
Or just find people who are willing to run it, because I am not someone who can give the time needed to read the books, prepare it, and run it. Like I just don't have the time to do that
That's totally fair. And just learning a system takes so much time.
Yes, and I'm very like, especially if it's my first time, I want to make sure I'm playing it correctly, just to make a fair assessment if I like it. So like recently I won the Traveler starter set and like the journals. There's like 6 journals that go along with it to add different things to it. Okay. I won that at Con Plus 3 this year. And so I just got that and I'm like, oh, this looks really cool. But who can I get to run it for me? Like that's kind of where I'm at. Like Pathfinder tomorrow, I'm not running it. I'm playing it because I want to play it with someone who knows what they're doing first. So that kind of thing. Running Mothership in the fall, I'll hit you up, Juice. Yeah, let me know, Joker. We'll see what's up. Yeah, let me know what the premise is too. I'm curious about the rule set. If it sounds like something I'd be into. Yeah, there's like so many cool games out there though. Like,
It's
and like if you
and people are making new ones every day. You know.
yes, like like there's so many creative ideas out there like that people come up with, whether it's a mechanic spin or it's just about a really cool IP. I think they're doing like Fallout, or is that a board game? Like,
I
it
mean,
might
that's
just
a
be
whole
board
other can of
game.
worms.
Yeah.
I love board games, my man,
Yeah.
and there's just not enough time to play all of them.
Or money.
Or money.
It's like $100 for a sweet board game. It's like,
Oh, I have so many. I
have
have
3
so many
kids.
that are like $60 that I played one time, but it's
Yeah.
still worth it just for that first experience. Ugh.
I
love a
bought
new
Boss
board game.
Monster and all the expansions
Boss
based on
Monster's
like
so
2
fun.
experiences with it. But
Oh,
my
it's such a
daughter's
good
at an age where she can play it now.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
so
good
I
stuff.
started getting her into it.
If you are ever looking for a really good, really fun cooperative RPG board game to play with kids,
yes,
look into Stuffed Tales, I believe it's called.
Stuffed Tales.
Let me see.
Never heard of that.
Stuffed Tales? Was that? Stuffed Fables. Sorry, Stuffed Fables.
Fables.
It's a lot to go into right now because it's really complicated.
Sure.
Not complicated to play, but just complicated as a premise. The rule book is also the game book and contains, like, as you flip through it, it has like grid-based maps, a narrative that whoever's turn it is reads out the narrative, so you tell a story together. And
Would a
you play the
9-year-old be
role.
able to play, you think?
Yes, 100%. As long as you know what you're doing and can guide her, 100%.
Gotcha.
And I think she would love it. So the premise is that you play as one of 4 stuffed animals in this girl's room. Think Toy Story meets D&D. You are stuffed animals, and each you play through in, think of it like sessions. Like the first session, she's having, I think she's having trouble wetting the bed. And like you need to keep her safe, and so you actually go under the bed into, I think, just an area called the under or something like that.
Okay.
And you have to accomplish certain tasks, and you can fail no matter what happens. You get through the session, and there's like a good ending, a medium ending, and a bad ending. So there's like a bad ending where the animals fail and she wets the bed again, and her parents are like, "Don't worry, it'll be okay next time." Or you can win and she gets through the night, she doesn't wet the bed, and she feels great, she feels awesome.
Right.
Or like a medium ending where she makes it through without wetting the bed, but she didn't sleep well, and so she's kind of cranky. And it's these cool actions equal results equals consequences.
Yeah.
And it's such a great board game. Like me and a group of 25 to 30-year-olds played it, and we loved it. Got super into it.
Huh. Interesting. I'm definitely gonna check that out. I wrote it down because it sounds like, I mean, if you're raving about it, it must be good.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure you can find gameplay on YouTube.
Yeah, well, that's what I'll do. I did that with my wife. We looked up Dominion. So
Dominion!
Store,
don't get me started.
So I've never played it. I've seen it at all the conventions and everything. I don't play a ton of board. I don't have time. I have 3 kids.
Oh man.
So like we just don't do these things. But I want to all the time. So our local store that's literally like a quarter mile down the road from me.
Nice.
They have a dented shelf. So if any boxes are damaged or whatever, they put it up for 50% off.
That's awesome.
So they have quite a few Dominion, original Settlers of Catan games, like
nice.
Axis and Allies. So we were looking, because we don't have Catan, we don't have Dominion, like we don't have most of the games.
Yeah.
So we were looking at getting original Catan, Axis and Allies, I think 42 or 43. I'm not sure which one we were thinking of, because they have both of them. Dominion, and I wanted Smash Up because I've heard good things about it.
Dude, Smash Up is great. I have every single expansion as of 2017. I don't know if they've released more.
Oh, I'm sure they have.
Yeah. But that game is so much fun. That's another one you can just play an infinite amount of times. Just mix 2 different things.
My wife was all about it for all of them, but when we watched the Smash Up, she's like, that one doesn't sound interesting to me. Of all of them, she's like, Smash Up is like, meh. And I'm like, oh, that one sounded really cool to me. And Dominion obviously sounded cool for both of us.
Dominion's awesome. If you like Dominion, you should also look into Ascension. At its core, it's almost the same.
I played Ascension at a convention.
Okay, yeah. They are
as a demo.
Very similar to each other. Ascension's more RPG focused, whereas Dominion's a little more, classic.
Yep. And then we got my daughter 5-Minute Marvel. So last year I bought 5-Minute Marvel and 5-Minute Dungeon.
5-Minute Dungeon's so good.
Yeah, so they're the same game, but it's reskinned, right? And obviously Marvel has newer rules that make it a little bit better, but it's Marvel themed. So anyways, one of them I had to make my Secret Santa gift last year. So I made it the 5-Minute Dungeon because I heard Marvel was better. So my wife plays 5 Minute Marvel with my 9-year-old daughter, and they have a blast every time. And like I've got the timer on my phone, so they'll be like, "Hey, we're gonna play it." So I'll start it and I'll mess with the voices because you can change the voices.
I love it. You can get the guy from I think it's CinemaSins. Is it?
Probably.
Is that a Cinema? No, it's Honest Trailers. The Honest Trailers guy.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, he does the dramatic one, I think.
Oh, we haven't played it in a while, so it's got to download an update.
5-minute dungeon.
But yeah, it's so cool.
It's so good. It's so simple. It makes a great party game, a great family game. Oh, I love
and it's about a half hour because it's 5 minutes per level.
Per dungeon, basically. Yeah. Although we've lost on the first dungeon before, so sometimes it does end in 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So back down to your channel real quick, just before we end it, because we're gonna end here soon. But so obviously you're a Pathfinder channel. You have ideas to try new things. So do you plan out your content multiple months in ahead? Like, what is your future thoughts right now? Like,
right
do you have videos already done for next week? Like,
just today, I want to get ahead of schedule. Right now, I'm sort of working to get ahead of schedule because this past week I was behind schedule. Today, I wrote the scripts to my video on Sunday and Monday, and then Tuesdays is unscripted. Tomorrow, I plan to edit at least one of them, if not both, and really start getting ahead of the game. I always have my video concepts planned out a week in advance, but the more on top of it I get, the earlier I can schedule them and forget about them, and then start working on more stuff and more stuff. So while I don't necessarily have anything planned going forward, I mean, there's 2 things per week that I know for sure. Like this week is Monk and the second half of the level 1 spells in Pathfinder. Next week is going to be Ranger and probably the first half of the level 2 spells, and then Rogue, and those ones are pretty formulaic. You know, I'm going alphabetically through the classes and going through the spells. The one that I'm never quite sure until I decide upon is Sundays, where I do rules, because I can never decide on which rule exactly I should cover next. Because I've done everything from saving throws to the archetype system to hero points. And this coming Sunday, I'm actually going to be doing this coming Sunday, I'm actually doing conditions. So I'm going to go briefly over and explain most of the conditions in Pathfinder. Yeah. Leaving
it's actually not that daunting. Like some of those conditions don't apply to a character. Some of them apply to equipment. Like
Broken? Yeah, Broken will never apply to a character.
So like I've heard people say, "Oh, there's too many conditions. Like how do you keep it straight?" And it's like it's not really.
And the most common ones you'll see are flat-footed and prone.
Right.
Which flat-footed is just -2 to armor class.
It's basically like being surprised, kind of. Like that's one way to kind of look at it. I mean, obviously.
Flat-footed is just if you can't actively focus on defense. So if you're off balance or you're on the ground or you're
attacked while climbing a rope.
Yeah.
You know.
That's sort of second edition Pathfinder's version of advantage of when in doubt, make them flat-footed as the bonus. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
I still am going to use advantage as well because I just like that mechanic.
That's totally fine. Yeah, if you and your group love the advantage system, go for it.
Hell yeah. It's just an easy rolling. Or, to make it more in line with Pathfinder, be like, oh, +5, -5. Yeah. Or +4, -4, whatever.
Yeah, either way, a lot of cool ways to do it.
So I'm somebody who I've been working on videos that I have had planned for 3 years. And I've got a booklet where if I come up with an idea, I write it down. Okay. And some of them, because of what I want out of them, I'll probably never do because it would require a lot of editing and stuff.
Fair enough.
But so my channel, I still have to do. I want to finish my D&D races videos. I want to do classes videos, and I want to do build guides, just like what you do. But I want to do it for 5e. Fair enough. I've been meaning to do that for years. But I also want to do it for optimization. But then I also want to take a DM standpoint. Well, how do you handle it? Because nobody does that.
Yeah, so again, it's finding your niche, finding what makes you unique. I think that's an awesome idea.
Yeah, so I want to do that, but I've always with my channel, that started with an intro to tabletop RPGs as a whole. So I did that series. Then it went into intro to 5e, and then from there I was going to go into the races and classes, then into the build, build on to what I've done.
Right. Yeah.
I plan on doing the same thing with Pathfinder. So again, I'm going to start with my review. What do I think of the review? I'm always going to do my flip throughs because I like doing those. Yeah. But I feel like that's, for me, I've started just all right, I'm just going to do content and build on the other thing. And I'm also going to do hot topics. Like I did a video on Agents of Edgewatch a couple weeks ago because that was the controversial thing going on.
Yeah, totally fair. Talk about what's popular, Yeah. That's always a good idea.
I read the statement on the stream or on the video, and I said my piece at the end. And I'm very interested to see what they do with that. I thought about picking it up, and you know, because again, I think there's a lot of people out there who are going to refuse to buy it or even look into it because of the content, and there's going to be other people who are like, whatever, I'm still going to buy it, but they still want to know now. And then there's just other people who just want to know about it.
Right?
Is it as controversial as everyone's making it out to be? You know, without having the module in your hands, you can't really say. Reading the back of it sounds like it might be, but you know,
who knows?
So,
but it's tough because I like the idea of having stuff planned ahead of time, but you also need to be able to react.
Do you record multiple videos at once?
Not typically, no. My plan is usually to knock videos out in order. That way I can definitely be ready for like Sunday. Like today was special where I wrote out 2 scripts because I just didn't feel like talking today.
And here we are talking.
And here we are. I guess that's probably why, is I knew I was going to be talking later.
Sure.
But yeah, my usual idea is because that way I don't get sick of anything. You know, I don't write for 3 hours, then record for 3 hours, then edit for God forbid. But that way, you know, it's write for an hour, record for an hour, edit for 6 hours, then write, record, edit, write, record, edit. I get to keep flipping what I'm doing rather than do the same thing, because editing gets real tedious. Let me tell you what.
Yep. It's a lot of sitting there and just watching yourself over and over.
Dude, that's the hardest part, is rehearing yourself 5 times over. But let me tell you, the satisfying thing is getting better and faster at it.
Yes.
What I used, something that used to take me 5 to 10 minutes to do, like on my character creation video, and it's doesn't even look good on my character creation video, is one screen fading out into another, or even worse, in my video of fading to show, like when it would highlight certain parts of the page.
Yep.
The way I used to do that was the most convoluted way ever, because I didn't know what a composite shot is. And it's effectively something that you can edit you can segment something off and then edit it in its own mini editor, rather than putting a bunch of crap on your main timeline. And so
I use Premiere Pro, and it incorporates, it's Adobe, so Photoshop and all that stuff kind of works with it. And so I'm still learning it, so I haven't learned how to do it. But you can literally like modify your screen like it's Photoshop real quick, and like all that. Like it's really cool, all the way things
Hitfilm has
work.
some very basic stuff like that, but it's all a learning process, and they all do it slightly differently. So
That's
pretty much locked into Hitfilm here. Hitfilm I do think has less options than like Premiere and stuff like that. No, but Humble Bundle had a subscription thing. Where it was super cheap. I want to say it was like $20 for like 12 months or something like that.
$20 total?
Total, yeah.
Oh, that's not. Yeah, then you got to do it. And if you guys need a free editing software, there's like Lightroom and there's other stuff out there too.
I find those ones usually have fairly poor layouts. Like it's hard to figure out where everything is in those, but they are free. Yeah.
Yep. Or GIMP. GIMP is free, but I prefer Photoshop.
I love GIMP. Honestly, I've learned GIMP, so I like GIMP. That's where I do all my thumbnails. You know, that's where I crop myself out. And,
that's awesome.
All right.
So we've been going for a little while, so let's wrap it up. But I've had a blast. I could talk.
This was awesome, dude. This was a lot of fun. I was a little nervous going in. I'm like, I don't know. I have nothing prepared. I don't know how strict is this guy. And then
no, there's nothing. I don't plan a thing. As I told you before.
Love it. Yeah.
And we just talk and see where it goes. Like the cool thing about this that I like is not only am I getting to know people, but some people get to know, whether it's designers, content creators, in a way they've never got a chance.
Yeah, you get to see the little behind the scenes,
Yeah. Like I love the little tidbits, like little stuff like, well, what games influenced you? And like what movies, what books, all that stuff is really interesting to me. And like, especially because obviously you have to be a creative to do content. I love talking to creative
I firmly believe anybody can be,
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's hard work, dedication, and willing to learn. That's kind of the gist.
Yep.
And I lack the willingness to learn. No, I'm just kidding. I just lack the patience. Patience is a problem.
Dude, it's one of the biggest parts of it, and it's rough.
Yeah. So, but yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I would love to do this again sometime.
For sure, yeah. I mean, if Chance wants to run a game, I'm just saying.
I know, Chance. We got to make that happen. Or I think Chance is in my Discord too.
Okay. Yeah, I'll join your Discord after this.
Yeah, do it. We organize games. We got like, I don't know, 100 and some odd people in there. It's pretty active. We talk every day. I get real personal in my off topic thing where I'm like, yeah, today I'm going and doing such and such. So.
Yeah.
But so people out there know, if you haven't yet, If you ever want to play in a game with me, the first way is Patreon. Now, there's no tier that automatically guarantees it, but I always offer up to my patrons first to play in a game with me there. Second, I then go to Discord. So if you're in my Discord, you'll have a really good chance to play with me there. If you want to run a game, that puts you at the top of the list. Because there's a lot of games I want. If it's 5e, I probably will pass. But if it's a game I've never played that I'm interested in, and you're available on a Friday night, sign me up, and we will make it happen. So yeah, that's it for that.
All right.
But if you want to plug your channel where they can find you,
Sure.
cool.
Do you mind if I just drop it in chat?
Yeah, drop it in chat. I do have a link to your channel. But yeah,
Okay.
feel free to plug all your stuff.
Cool. So we got. It's gonna show up under my personal account, which still says GameBoyer721, but don't worry, they're correct links. There's one directly to the YouTube channel. Oh, it looks like YouTube does not like links in chat, huh?
Oh, it probably does not.
Well, you can copy paste, I suppose. There's that, which is for my actual channel, which is the most important part. There is a link to my Twitter, and then a link to my brand new, as of like 3 hours ago,
Are they coming through for
Facebook
you?
page.
I'm not seeing anything in the chat.
No, really interesting, because they're sending from my GameBoy721 account. I don't know.
I'm not seeing yours. I see mine.
Yeah, I see yours too. I also
Is it
see
working?
mine. That's unfortunate.
Post it. Do me a favor. Post it in the Zoom chat real quick,
This is
and then
oh, yeah,
I
there
will
is.
copy and paste it. Yeah, at the bottom
Okay.
there's a chat.
So there's Facebook. There's Twitter. And
Facebook. Oops, I click a button that I didn't mean to click.
And there is the YouTube.
Perfect. So yeah, hopefully that works
we
for
go.
everybody.
Yo, thanks for hanging out, Barking Cricket. I'm glad everyone stuck around. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, we do this like I said, Tuesdays, Thursdays. Usually we don't have this good of a turnout. It's usually like, I don't know, it could be anywhere.
Dude, I was
as low as,
impressed. That's awesome. Like an
people.
average of like 13 to 15.
Yeah.
That spike. Yeah.
Oh, it is great, dude. Like, and like Cameron and Melchior are like my regulars. They're here usually like in the evening ones for sure. Sometimes during the day. It's awesome. It's a great community. I love what we're building, and like that's the whole thing. Like
it's the best part, man. The community you get to see build up, and that's one of the hardest parts starting over from my streaming, because like from my streaming audience was completely different. It was primarily young kids, and like nothing against the kids, you know, like I loved them. They were a great audience.
Yeah.
But they don't have interest in role playing games. You know, they're not really old enough. A lot of them are 12 to 16. They're not really
that's the
in
perfect
that
age too.
I know it is, right? But I'm not going to shove it down their throat. So
You should've.
most of my following did not follow over. I had like 10 to 20 follow over, which was helpful.
Right.
But yeah, it's mostly been starting over, but watching the community grow again is a really good feeling.
Yes. Like, I don't know, like about your experiences, but like I used to, when we played Provokers, like I was telling you, like we would get people that would message us and be like, "Oh, you're the reason I play D&D again." It's like, whoa, like
Dude,
that's
awesome.
so
Yeah,
cool.
dude, the comments. I got a comment the other day who's like, I haven't played a tabletop RPG before, but my friends and I are getting into Pathfinder, and your videos have helped out so much. I was a little nervous going forward, but yeah, you helped. I'm like, that's really, really cool. Also, Nico's right. If there's anybody here who hasn't liked it, hit us up to that 20. Come on.
Yeah,
Juice,
we're
if you
one
have-
away right now.
Juice, if you have to like your own video, do
I already did. I always
Damn
like
it.
it before I even start the stream.
You know what? I can cheat. I can cheat the system. Let's go.
He's like, I'll go to my other account.
Exactly. I'm going to go. You're going to get a primo like from NoNat1s himself.
Oh, there we go.
Bam. Wait, why does it still say 18 here? Oh, there it is. Yay.
We had 19 earlier, and then it dropped to 18. Somebody
But then it just shot back up to 20, so we're good.
I know, right? So if you guys like NoNat, well, first of all, you should like NoNat1s channel, right? He does some really good Pathfinder videos. I do plan on doing some similar videos. I will be doing a beginner series eventually. I don't know when, but right now, until mine's out, his is the best one out there.
Thank you.
It'll probably still be better, but mine will be new.
Don't say that.
No, it's true.
Oh,
But yeah, so go subscribe, give his videos a watch, especially if you're interested in Pathfinder, or maybe you heard something today that made you at least moderately intrigued. Go check him out. See what you think.
I am a moderately intriguing guy.
You have a perfect radio voice.
Thank you. I mean, I a lot of it is I went to college for theater, so a lot of it
Gotcha.
is just training. You
You just have that perfect like projection. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ever since I was a kid, I was always too loud.
Nice. So yeah, but yeah, go check his out. Again, right now it's Pathfinder. He's eventually going to branch out into other stuff. I can't wait to see what he does over there, because I'm sure it's going to be great. And yeah, and maybe he'll do some live plays someday.
That's the plan. Someday, somehow, we'll find out.
That'd be cool. So with that, guys, we will see you guys next time. This is Master Game. I'm Juice. This was Brogan Kelley of NoNat1s.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Game on.